Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great day in the Delaware Valley and beyond, wherever you may be. So happy to have you with us this morning. And the us is Ray Dunn joining me in studio today to play as my co-host. How are you today, Ray?
I'm good.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. That's enough out of you. That's
okay,
cool.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Matt Menard.
Thank you.
Producing. Always love to have Matt with us. Stats Matt Menard, in case those of you who don't know. Great day today. It's getaway day for your Phillies. And when I say getaway, it's away. They're going to go far away after today. I don't understand some things. Why are they playing at 4 o'clock? Why wouldn't they have a 1 o'clock game on this Wednesday so that they could get the hell out of here and over to London as soon as possible? Don't know. Also, rain coming in at like 4 o'clock, and it looks like it's going to rain for a pretty good period of time according to my weather app from the Weather Channel. So I don't know how much you can delay this game tonight because they do have to get over to London. I'm sure they have some obligations tomorrow probably with Major League Baseball. So we'll see how it all plays out. But none of it plays out until we get through the front page.
Now, the front page. The stories everyone's talking about. 97.5, The Fanatic.
All right, we'll start with the Phillies, of course. Another win last night, 2-1 in 10 innings on a Nick Castellanos double. Didn't mind it. He busted it out of the batter's box so that he could get that double to win the game 2-1 in 10 over the Milwaukee Brewers. It's another series win. That's right. They've already taken the first two from the Brewers. Christopher Sanchez with a really, really good outing. 6 innings pitched, only 4 hits, 1 earned run. The bullpen, unbelievable. 4 innings pitched again last night. 3 hits, no walks, 5 strikeouts. 5 games race, including Friday, 5 games the bullpen has gone 19 2/3 innings, 12 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 25 strikeouts, an ERA of .46. Absolutely phenomenal. Phillies bats were a little bit quiet last night. Alec Boehm hits a home run in the 8th to tie it, 1-1. Over the last 3 games, the Phillies are only hitting .212 in the last 3 games. 8 hits, 7 hits, and 7 hits. They've had 6 extra base hits is all, including the one by Castellanos last night, and 9 runs scored. However, they're 2-1 in those 3 games, so it's okay. They're up to 43-19 on the season, 7 games up on the Braves. They are now 26-9 at Citizens Bank Park. 100 games to go, so we're going to take a closer look at that, where we may think, I saw a projection today, it's not like playing out what it could be, a projection that the Phillies would win 103 games. The projection was 91% chance of winning the division. The projection was 100% chance that they're making the playoffs. Today, 4.05, as I said, Aaron Nola, 7-2, 3.03 ERA. He goes against left-hander Aaron Ashby. Now, Ashby pitched 1 game for Milwaukee earlier this year. He was down in the minors. Recently had a start in the minors where he pitched pretty well. They called him up as part of the taxi squad, as they said, as they're devastated by injuries to their pitching. So he probably is going today. You're probably not going to get a lot out of him, but they might have to throw some innings his way because they've just been using bullpen stuff a lot lately. So we'll see how that goes. And then, of course, the Phillies will be off tomorrow, off Friday, before playing the Mets on Saturday at 1 o'clock and then Sunday at like 10 o'clock in London against those Mets. The Eagles, Mandy Minis. That's right. They continue today, the mandatory mini camps. We have some sound from players and coaches. We carried the Nick Sirianni press conference live yesterday for you, and we had some immediate reaction on that. We'll probably dive a little bit deeper and see what some of the players also had to say. I've told you that I have huge questions when it comes to the defense. Yesterday made me realize that I think I have more questions about the offense than I really realized also. So we'll take a closer look at that. On the national front, we're a day closer to the NBA Finals. Tomorrow they start as Dallas visits Boston. Stanley Cup Finals on Saturday, Edmonton at Florida. J.J. Redick. Now, this hasn't been finalized, has it?
I don't think so. I don't think I've seen it finalized anywhere. Just that they were, what's the phrase in it? Like locking in?
Yeah, zeroing in is what I saw. Exactly, yeah. Looks like he's going to become the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. A lot of head shaking going on this. I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying things, the first thing he's going to do is go to the team and show him his basketball IQ and all that. Look, that's the best league in the world. In the world. There's 32 head coaches in the world that can say they're in the NBA. I just find it amazing to pick up a guy who has absolutely no experience coaching and saying, yeah, you're going to be labeled one of the best coaches in the world.
I can't wait. That first post-game post-game podcast with LeBron and JJ after they lose by like 20, as the two of them break it down how,
LeBron's
intellectual.
though.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, sure. But when LeBron's still out there and JJ's there and maybe Bronny becomes the third host in that podcast and they lose by 20 and it's like, we were really doing everything right. It just didn't go our way. You see, when we see the game of basketball like this, it just sometimes doesn't fall for you. I can't wait. Oh, man, that locker room, you imagine just walking in. All right, this is what we're going to talk about tonight on the podcast. JJ Redick's not even giving a speech. It's going to be great. Oh, the theater out there in L.A. For a town built on, Hollywood and all those wonderful things, this is going to be tremendous theater.
You don't like JJ Redick?
That's not that I don't like JJ Redick. I
thought you said that earlier.
No, that's Andrew.
Oh, okay.
You're confusing me with that other guy. Yeah. Andrew hates JJ Redick.
I heard somebody say it. I didn't know who said it.
I mean, he can get under my nerves, but I don't have the disdain that other people have for him.
Yeah, and I do have bias because J.J. Redick treated me right when he was here in Philadelphia and I was covering the team. So I didn't mind him. I always found him fine. I haven't really dug in, as you know, watching a game. I'll watch a game. I don't have to have announcers. I don't dive into what the announcers have to say. I thought he was pretty good.
It's not really him as an announcer, to be honest with you. It's more the off the air, not on the actual game broadcast that drives me nuts.
Oh, okay.
I just feel like he feels like he's elevated above everyone else.
I don't. I would say he can feel he's elevated above a lot of people.
He can feel that way. I don't need him to.
And he probably
come across that way.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know if I could have a good.
You can say it. You don't like.
It's not that I don't like it.
I
don't know him, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you oh yeah.
Neither does Andrew, but he doesn't like him.
Yeah, well,
there has to be people out there you don't know that you don't like.
Yeah, but I'm not going to waste one of my dislikes in this world on JJ Redick.
Have a limited amount of dislikes.
Yeah, I mean,
is there a number put on?
I try not to have a lot of hate in my heart, Bob.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, I don't think you have much of any hate in your heart.
But that's what I'm saying. So if I start disliking all those people, that builds up a little hate in the heart.
Well, dislike isn't hate.
I guess not.
I dislike sliced tomatoes. I don't hate tomatoes because I like to make my own gravy and, all of those kind of things.
You hate sliced tomatoes.
I hate sliced tomatoes.
Okay.
But I don't hate tomatoes.
Yeah, but you just said you disliked them. It's a synonym.
Okay. Gino Auriemma, also last thing on it, signs a 5-year extension at the University of Connecticut. So there you have. There's the front page news for you. I found it funny. We have a discussion coming up about the Phillies that I'm going to wait a little bit to ask because Andrew teased it on the crossover. Myself, him, and John were talking about this on the break. We were talking about it in the hallway while the morning show was going on. It's a discussion about the Phillies and some former players. And it came off of a tweet that I saw earlier this morning. So I can't wait to put that out there. I think it's going to garner a lot of interesting reaction. And so we'll get to that in a little bit. But, I'm watching that Phillies game last night, Ray, and they win the game. Yeah, and it's one of those games where you're like, whew, this is tough to watch. I love pitchers' duels and all that stuff, but come on. We all like the long ball. We all like runs being scored. And it's 0-0. And it's going on, and then the Brewers get a run. It's 1-0. Phillies bats aren't doing anything. I had to do wash last night, so
laundry.
No, wash.
Laundry.
Wash. Laundry is when you get done and you get it on hangers. Wash is when you wash it yourself, put it in the dryer, and you take it out in a big lump, and it's just you got to fold it yourself. That's wash. Matt, do you do wash or laundry?
I do laundry, Bob.
Don't say
wonderful to have you today, Matt.
I remember this conversation about a month ago.
Yeah, wonderful to have you here, Matt. Appreciate that.
Wash is the act of doing it. What you're doing is you're washing your clothes.
I'm doing my wash. It's funny because my wife is on your side, and a lot of people on your side call it laundry, right?
Society.
So what? Are you going to be like this all day? So
Ray's right.
I went to her. It was funny. It was the day after that we had this discussion on the show. And I went home and we talked about it too. And she's like, she agreed. Laundry should be it. And I said, well, I just call it wash. Laundry to me is when I take it to the dry cleaners. I got to pick up my laundry. I just do my wash.
That
but
would
that's
be
just
pick up
me.
your dry
Dry
cleaners.
cleaning.
So the next day, we're sitting there and she's not even thinking about and she stands up. She goes, oh, I got to do wash. I said, whoa, what did you say? And we caught somebody else that said, yeah, it's laundry. We caught somebody else that said, oh, I got to go do my wash after they said it was laundry. So, okay, I say wash. You guys say laundry. I'm sure it's probably about a 50-50 split out there.
You know what?
among
As long
people.
as your clothes are clean at the end, really, who cares?
You don't
right?
even wash your feet, I imagine.
I
right?
wash my feet.
You wash
Absolutely.
your
I'm
feet.
disgusted by what was said on the morning show today. I have now looked at
Andrew is
Connor and
the-
Andrew
it's
totally
disgusting.
differently.
Do they walk around barefoot in Lithuania and then just like take showers from the waist up?
I don't know, but I'm terrified of. Honestly,
It's gross.
I was at Andrew's house not too long ago. I'm now glad that I wore shoes the entire time.
Yeah,
he's not washing his feet. That's gross.
As I told you, I want to have all you guys over for a little, pool thing at the house. I want Andrew to bring the kids and all, so the kids can all go swimming and all. I don't think I want Andrew coming. I'm just going to call Christy, his wife, and say, tell Andrew you're going somewhere, but come on over to my house because I don't want his bare feet in my pool.
I don't blame you.
No, it's
Gross.
disgusting. He is absolutely disgusting. So anyway, I'm watching that Phillies game last night. I go down to do my wash. For a second, all I have to do is that. So I'm carrying it. I have it on the steps. I watch. I see the Phillies making out. Scamper down, throw it in the washing machine, put my detergent on, close it, go back up, and it's 1-1. I missed the Bohm home run. So, of course, rewind and saw it, whatever. They go to extra innings. They win the game in extra innings, 2-1. As I said, they haven't been hitting very well lately. What's your identity for this Phillies team? Because I started thinking about it when the game was done last night. And, of course, they're just unbelievable so far with the 43-19 record. Usually when a team is going like that, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, whatever it is, you can put your hands around, oh, well, there's a reason why the Eagles are, well, we can't even say that when they were 10-1 because we didn't have a reason. But usually there's a reason why a team is that, they have a specific identity. The Phillies won 2 of the last 3 games without really even hitting. And I was like, is that their identity? No, I don't think so, even though their pitching's really good. But their hitting's really good. They do hit home runs, but they also play small. Do you have an identity for this team?
Yeah, it's their pitching.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, when you look at, they have 4 starters right now that I think are the top 25 of ERA in baseball. Like, that to me, like, again, among starting pitchers, that to me shows you an incredible pitching staff. Like, when we got back to, looking at the last time that they were on pace to go over 100 wins and all those things back in 2011, like, the identity of that team was the 4 aces. That, like, to me, they had Howard, Rollins, Utley, but when you think about 2011, I think about the picture on Sports Illustrated, the starting rotation. Like, that to me is what the identity of that team was, that they were just lights out in terms of pitching staff. This group's got 4 starters right now going as good as anyone else in baseball. And then couple that with the bullpen stats that you're giving out, the fact that Strahm goes out there. I think it was Thompson that said, I don't know if it was before or after the game, like basically he can roll out 3 guys one day, 3 different guys the next day, and expect the same results.
Yeah.
Like they go like 6 deep in a bullpen right now. That to me is their identity. They're just a tremendous pitching team. It doesn't take away at all from Harper, from JT, from what they've gotten from Bohm, all that. But right now you can make a case for like 4 or 5 pitchers on this team making the All-Star game. And that might even be a low number. Like, that's just how good they've been pitching so far. That, to me, is the identity of this group.
Does that surprise you? So if we were to go into this season, I said to you, in 62 games, Phillies are going to win 43 of them. What do you think the reason is? Your answer would have been?
Well, when you invest nearly $1 billion in your lineup, yeah, I would say probably the lineup would be the way you go. But just look at how they're pitching. Like, I think it wouldn't surprise me a ton, given I have the belief higher than the top 3 of the rotation, but I didn't see Christopher Sanchez going like this. I think even Matt Strahm would tell you. Matt Strahm is impressed with the way the scoreless streak he's got rolling right now. Like this has been tremendous from him to have all these bullpen pitchers going at the same time right now. No, I don't know if anyone really put you would think that this would be the reason they would be winning this many games. I think you think that Harper is having a torrid stretch, JT's having a torrid stretch, Turner's having a torrid stretch, so it would have you right here.
And think about it. You got 43 wins in 62 games without probably your best overall hitter in Trey Turner. I mean, you can argue him and Harper, but if you're looking at batting average, and I think overall when they're both at their best.
I'll take Harper, but I get your point.
But yeah, okay. And your pitching staff is missing one of the best pitchers in all of baseball in Junior Marte.
Yeah.
So the adopted son of this show.
Still sub
So
3 ERA. Come back, Junior.
We need you, Junior. There might not be a spot for Junior, unfortunately. That's
Jose
how good
Ruiz
this
pitching real good.
Yeah, we might have to adopt somebody else on this.
No.
I think Orion Kerkering is up there. I think he's
looking even better.
Oh, my God, he's so good. This team is so much fun to watch. But, yeah, I wanted to put that out there. And, Stats, I'll ask you. You look at this team, and Ray calls out the pitching, and maybe your answer is the same. I'll ask you like a two-part question. A, is that your identity on this team right now, the pitching? And B, is a team that's 43-19, yeah, no matter what, the pitching is going to be their identity?
I don't know what their identity is. I mean, because their pitching has been great this whole season. Their hitting has been great this whole season. I think their identity is more or less, next man up. Whoever's up to bat. It doesn't matter who's hurt, who's out. Somebody else is going to step up. It kind of reminds me of the 2017 Eagles in that way. That no matter, Trey, we still know Trey's on the team, right? But it's kind of easy to forget that, his production because of what everybody else has been doing to step up in his shoes, like Sosa and that. What was the second part, did you say?
When you have a team that is this good, is the identity always pitching?
It depends on what the scores are. I mean, if they're low-scoring games, yeah. Now, if you're winning, like, these games, 10-5 or whatever, 9-7, then you're not really going to be focused more on the pitching because it was the hitting that came through. But it may be more times than not because – the pitchers has the ball more than anything. They control the game more than anything, really.
Sure. I just didn't think going into the season, like you said, with all the raking you have. It's almost like, to me, if we were to say after 10 games the Eagles are going to be 8-2 and their defense is carrying them. Maybe not that big of a stretch, but you know what I mean. That's the comparison that I was thinking of last night.
Or like the running game. Like it's like, oh, yeah, they're running the football really well. It's like, oh, that's what they're doing well. That's what it is. Okay, sure, I'll take it. But, like, because there's talent there. I mean, like, again, the top end of this rotation, I think we all believed in. But to get what you're getting, sometimes I think we're taking for granted right now what you're seeing from the top of your bullpen because we still get people who are like, well, this bullpen, I'm sure there's always another arm that you could covet. But, like, what you're getting from them right now is just pretty darn special.
And it's cool because you just get the feeling that they're looking to one-up each other in a great competitive way. Like, all right, no, it's not. I'm not going to be the one to let up a run, And if there's anybody that's kind of struggling, or maybe you don't have full trust in, I guess it would be just like Soto.
Yeah, Soto. I mean, he's had a couple shaky ones. I always say his ERA is really inflated from that. He had that 5-run blow up against Colorado in April.
He did,
and that really crushed the ERA. And Sir Anthony last night, Sir Anthony was great in May.
I think he's coming around.
Last night scared me a little bit. He got in one of those situations where it's like, this is a great opportunity to prove yourself. It's like, well, he got 3 outs. Let's keep moving.
Yeah, well, he got 3 outs, and that is the most important thing. And I think it's the most important thing for him. He's a little bit shaky.
Yeah, get out of the inning.
And if you can be shaky and get out on a 1-2-3 inning, that's kind of okay. It's funny. I told you that I had a question that I think is going to garner a lot of reaction. I just took a glance at our YouTube page. They're reacting to laundry and wash. And, I got somebody on here, 100% it's wash, and going back and forth on that. But also, when we did the tomato talk, and I said, no, I like gravy, I make gravy, then came the sauce gravy thing. My wife is 100,000% Italian. They call it gravy. That's where I got. Look, I'm an Irish Catholic. When we grew up, we didn't make gravy. So all I know is from my wife's side of the ledger. A lot of people said that South Philly, it's gravy. Other places, it's sauce. One of my good friends, he goes, it's sauce, dude. What did he say? Like, you don't go to a pizza shop and look at pizza gravy. You look at pizza sauce.
Yeah, it's sauce. But it's
You
fine.
guys go sauce?
Yeah, I go sauce.
Yeah, I really don't care. If my wife's family said sauce, I'd probably say sauce too. We had none of that growing up. All right, 10 o'clock hour. It's brought to you by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows. Plus, make no down payment with no payments and no interest for 12 full months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. All right, we're talking about the identity of the Phillies team. So I'd love to hear from you at 610-632-0975. How do you identify this Phillies team? Maybe it's a player. Maybe it's the manager. Maybe it's a style of play. How is this team best identified? And then let's take it a step further. How are they best identified moving forward in the 100 games going ahead? What's the best identity for this team to have moving forward? Also, here's the talking point. I was reading Twitter before we came on the air, and I saw something from Tom McCarthy. Tom McCarthy, to me, is always must-read in Twitter. I think he interacts really well. Someone asked him, hey, Tom, what do you think? Who do you think is the next number retired by the Philadelphia Phillies? Tom's response wasn't one player, wasn't two players. It was three players. I'll tell you who. I'll see if you agree, because it kind of made me think more about it, and maybe not in a positive way that Tom was doing it. We'll get to that a whole lot more. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back on this Wednesday morning, midday shows. I got Ray Dunn in studio with me as we plow through hump day. Get ready for a Phillies game tonight that's supposed to start at 4 o'clock. Hopefully they get through it because it's just not supposed to be great weather later on this afternoon. Don't understand. Maybe we can do some digging and make some phone calls and texts and stuff to find out. I wonder why it's a 4 o'clock game. It just seems odd when you're going away to London why you wouldn't have it at 12:30 or 1 o'clock today.
Well, they've got 75 days off between today and their next game, so.
Yeah, but still, get it. Make sure you get it in. Like I don't know what the team's doing. I don't know if they're flying out tomorrow morning. I would assume they're flying out after the game today. You got a 6-hour flight, a 5 or 6 hour time difference over there. So from the time you leave to the time you get there, it's 12 hours ahead. Just different. I would like to get it done, taken care of right away. But they so chose
Maybe
to
they
do
want
whatever
to
they're
go
going to do.
overnight.
They might. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They might be scheduled to fly out at like 8, 9 o'clock.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, just take it overnight instead of like the 1 o'clock. And then when
Right.
you get there, you're getting there in the middle of the night, and then you're gonna have to get there. I don't know.
I don't know either. I
I've
don't know
never
how
been
they're
to
going to
London.
handle it. But all right, I teased you with this when we went away, and it's been a great topic of conversation among us around here. Tom McCarthy on Twitter was asked, Tom, who do you think's the next in line to get their number retired? Tom's response was, I think the big three. So he, of course, is talking about Jimmy Rollins, Ryan Howard, Chase Utley. Those three guys getting their number retired. I think first reaction by mostly everybody is, oh, cool, yeah. Because, you can't do one without the other, blah, 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 blah. I felt almost bad that inwardly I was like, I don't know. And it was me, Ray, Connor, Andrew. We were all talking about it. And then I brought it in here and I asked John about it also. Here's my thoughts on it. 3 numbers to retire is a lot from a same era. They were the Philadelphia Phillies for that good era that got you, very good era, that got you 1 World Series. If I think of 3 guys on the same team getting their number retired, I'm thinking of more than just 1 World Series win. Now, you have to look at them individually if you're retiring their numbers, obviously. Jimmy Rollins, I think, of those 3, should be in the Hall of Fame. Utley, Howard, I would love to see it. I mean, who wouldn't love to see all those guys in the Hall of Fame? But you have to be honest about it. I think Jimmy Rollins deserves to be a shortstop in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if Utley compares that favorably to other second basemen that are in, and Ryan Howard's longevity has to be questioned on it. I mean, that 5-year run that he had was spectacular. That's just my feelings on it. I've always thought that Rollins should be in. The other 2, I would listen to the argument. Are you okay? Now, retiring numbers isn't high on my list of really importance, but I love talking anything. Do you really think all 3 of them should have their number retired at the same time when the highlight of their playing time together was just 1 World Series?
Without a doubt, they should have their number retired. Are we sitting here with an organization that's won 15 World Series? It's like, well, these 3 only gave us 1. We're going to all of a sudden get real picky in the grand success of the losingest organization in all of sports history?
No. No, and look, I'm not arguing with you saying there's no way they should be. I'm big on you can't help how you feel. My first thought when it was brought up was, really? I don't know. Matt, what do you think? Does it come to you right to your head right away like, yeah, all 3 should have their number retired?
I'm with Ray. All 3 need to be retired, and that's the only way you could do it. You can't have one of them can't be retired and the other 2 not. It's either all or nothing. Because you really want to look at it as in the Phillies' history, they've been around since like 1480, I think, and they've had very few.
I covered that first game.
Yeah, they've had very few numbers retired. They have no second baseman and no shortstops numbers retired. These are you would say that they're the best middle infield in Phillies history. Why shouldn't their numbers be retired? If you're looking in the context of the team and not all of baseball, okay, that's a whole different story. But within the team, it won World Series, but it was a lot of success.
Now, that's a great point. That is a great point that you make. If you look at individually, Ryan Howard is second all-time. I didn't look this up. I'm actually trusting Andrew and John on this. That Ryan Howard is second all-time on Phillies home run list behind Mike Schmidt. Jimmy Rollins is the all-time hits leader in Phillies history. And Utley was what he was, probably the greatest second baseman the Phillies have had?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Best second baseman they had. They're all top 10 games played for the organization, runs batted in, home runs. I think Howard's the only one that's not top 10 for hits amongst the three of them, but, you know.
And if you look at you're talking about longevity for Howard, then you have to Roy Halladay's numbers retired. He wasn't here that long.
I disagreed with that from the beginning.
He was great while he was here, but longevity-wise, no, he doesn't check the box there.
No, I didn't agree with that. Cole Hamels, somebody brought up and we talked about earlier. Well, if you're going to do those three, why not Cole Hamels? MVP of the World Series, longevity. If his numbers probably are very favorable as the all-time list on Phillies pitching. What about that?
I mean, if we're going by the best that did it for this organization, he would not be the best left-handed pitcher he ever had. I mean, there's a case to be made for Hamels, too. I'll be honest with you. I'm more liberal when it comes to this type of thing. Like, I look at that era, and if we call it really the golden era of Phillies baseball, like, the guys deserve to be recognized from it. You're holding yourself back from recognizing greatness in your organization. I was not outraged when I saw David Dahl in number 35 the same way. I mean, I was a little disappointed when they first gave it to Oscar Mercado, who I think played like 1 or 2 games as a Philly. And I was like, really? This is the guy you're giving afterwards? Like, I don't know if 8 was worn again after Victorino until Castellanos. It was like, you know, one of those like nice little moratoriums. So, this number's not going out. Like, they were never going to retire that number for him. But I mean, it was the idea went from Cole Hamels to Oscar Mercado. No disrespect to Oscar Mercado, wherever he may be right now.
No, you can disrespect him if you so choose, right?
But like, that was like, all right, let's not hand that number out just for someone like that. I know if there was ever a 6, 11, or 26 ever worn again that was not like by a Philly, I'd be disappointed. I'd be very disappointed.
Huh. I don't know why I have this feeling, and nothing against those three. I loved watching those three, got to cover them, all of those things, but I don't know. It came to me because I guess that's where I've gotten in life, where I don't want to throw out an answer real quick. I like what my first reaction is, but I have to think about, is my reaction right, or is there questions to my reaction? My reaction this time was when you guys said, without a doubt, they all three go in together. Because I had to think of it like, okay, and it just keeps coming back to me. You're taking 3 guys. You're taking 33% of your lineup during an era, and they won 1 World Series. But you're retiring their numbers.
The 2 that you have.
But you make, Matt, a great point when you look at their individual numbers for this organization. Maybe they're worthy.
Yes, they are worthy.
Look, I'm not saying I've even decided on whether I think they should or shouldn't. I'm just like kind of talking it out.
Yeah, I understand where you're talking this one out. I just look at like the rest of the eras of Phillies baseball, and like you have a chance to be what was phrased as the golden era, like one of the best stretches of baseball. And I always think that the golden era thing's overblown because, you know, from 76 to 83, they were also pretty good. So you have multiple great eras. But like 20 years from now, I go to the ballpark with, you know, maybe a child of mine. It's like, look up on the wall, and it's, you know, Ashburn, Bunning, Allen, Schmidt, Carlton, Halladay, and Robin Roberts. And it's like, I thought you said that when you were younger that they had some great players, that it was great. Like, you just have no acknowledgement of that era. That era was that good. Yeah. And especially in the context of this organization.
How many did you just read off?
I read off, that
11?
was 7.
7. So
Ashburn, Bunning, Allen,
if
Carlton, Halladay,
right?
Roberts. Yeah, 7.
So if you add 3, that's 10. So you're going to have 10 retired numbers from the losingest organization in all of sports.
That's certainly not Howard, Rollins, and Utley's fault. It's the losingest organization in all of sports. You're going to punish them for the fact that you tried out Tyler Goodell for a season. You tried out Tyler Cloyd. You want to start rolling through names here of guys who were part of losing?
Well, somebody threw out there, really, Ray? You're saying Chase Utley all-time greatest? How about Eddie Collins? Sorry, dude. I'm a lot older than Ray. I don't even remember.
Yeah, Miguel Cairo was the best.
Yeah, I sorry.
Cesar Hernandez, 610, 632.
Let me ask you this, Bob. If the Phillies win the next 2 World Series, besides Bryce, should anybody on this team, because they won 2 World Series?
That's so funny you brought that up. It's the exact question I asked Ray. Earlier, you weren't around us. You were wandering around in the other studio. It's the exact question I asked Ray. And he said, Harper's already retired. No matter what, Harper's already retired. Is there somebody else? I don't know. JT? I mean, people were mad that he wore number 10 after Darren Dalton. Not right after, but like after Darren Dalton wore number 10. Some people were a little upset that JT Realmuto came in and wore number 10.
Sorry, I went down the Eddie Collins rabbit hole here.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
What do you got, career marks on Eddie Collins?
I do. That's a Philadelphia A, okay? MBD. So take your Eddie Collins and take it out to Oakland or Las Vegas or wherever that organization is. Leave me alone with the Eddie Collins crap.
Wow. Ray's got attitude when he sits in that co-host seat.
I have attitude all the time. I'm just in there. You just don't get to fully witness it.
Okay, if you say so.
If you want to answer the question about this era right now, who's an all-time great Philly? Like from this era, right now.
Well, the 3 guys that we're talking about.
No, from this 2022.
Oh, from this team.
From this team.
Harper. Realmuto could get himself up there like
Wheeler?
Yeah.
Potentially?
Yeah.
Like, if Nola goes out the rest of this contract, like, I know people are going to hate to have that conversation, but if he plays out the rest of this contract, he's going to be either a statistical leader or amongst the greatest in terms of numbers with this organization.
Why do people hate to say that?
Because people hate Aaron Nola.
I don't agree with that. I think they hate him when he has bad years.
Oh. That's
people find reasons to
He
criticize
gives up a
him, no
home
matter
run,
what.
and I think I get a DM almost every time.
Well, your friends are idiots.
Oh, yeah. Just friends. Just friends are idiots. But that's what, I think potentially you look at some of those, but looking at this era, part of what is different about this era to the last is right now your stars are ones that were brought in. Like, when you talk Harper, when you talk Wheeler, and, I think Wheeler and Harper right now are all-time great Phillies. Like, Wheeler right now is an all-time great
Wheeler might be the best free agent pickup, you can argue it, of all time for the Phillies.
I mean, I would go Harper.
Yeah.
I think because Harper signaled the whole change.
I should say pitching, but...
Pitching, yeah.
But no, I'll still put him top 3 probably.
Pitching, he might be the greatest. Of all of them.
Yeah, of all of them.
I'll have to, in my brain, gut, yeah, that sounds about right.
Eddie Collins a free agent or not?
No.
Was he homegrown?
He was homegrown. They actually called him off the farm back in 1905.
Yeah.
I think looking at this grouping, there are some great Phillies that are here right now. They still don't have the ring compared to the 3 that were homegrown here and ushered in one of the greatest eras we've ever seen.
Yeah, so we'll put it out there to you. 610-632-0975. Do you agree that all of Ryan Howard, Jimmy Rollins, and Chase Utley, those 3 should all get their number retired? I'm like I said, I'm not big on the whether their numbers are up on the wall. That doesn't drive me. But it did make me think this morning when Tom McCarthy answered a tweet and said, I think the big 3 are next in getting their numbers retired. I just started to think of, they were great. And Matt makes a great point as far as this organization goes. Their numbers are phenomenal. 3 guys from the same era that won 1 World Series. Are you okay with it? 610-632-0975. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5, The Fanatic. Getting close to the 11 o'clock hour here on Middays at 97.5 The Fanatic. Bob Cooney with you, along with Ray Dunn sitting in the co-host chair today. A lot of lively conversation already as we're talking about something funny we saw on Twitter. Not funny, but we saw on Twitter, but made me think about. Tom McCarthy said, answering a tweet, saying that he thinks Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, Ryan Howard will be the next three players, probably all together, to get their numbers retired by the Philadelphia Phillies. When I threw it out there to the guys, we had back and forth on it. Mostly everybody saying, yeah, that sounds right. So I just put it out to them and said, okay, but you're retiring three of the greatest players, because if you get your number retired, you're the greatest players in the organization. Three of them were on the same team. It only got you one World Series. Does that deserve all three to get retired? Matt Menark, who's producing today, had a great point talking about their individual numbers for this organization is probably number retirement worthy. And those numbers being Jimmy Rollins is the all-time hits leader for the organization. Ryan Howard, number 2 in home runs all-time in this organization. And, of course, all of the things that Chase Utley did, maybe the greatest shortstop of that organization during the modern era. Although, what are the Eddie Collins numbers that you're at? Because who was the person that put it out to us?
It was MBD.
Oh, okay. He put it out there. You guys are forgetting Eddie Collins. Sorry, like Eddie Collins. I started at the paper right after his career ended in 1925, so I never saw him play.
Whoa. He made a return to Philadelphia in 1927. Don't you worry.
Oh, I missed
You're
that.
talking about
It was just like Iverson coming back to Philly. I remember that.
You're talking about the 1914 AL MVP, Eddie Collins, for the Philadelphia A's in a stretch of 1909 to 1914. The guy had over 1,100 hits, over 350 stolen bases, and 14 home runs, because baseball was just different back then. But, an MVP in 1914 for that Philadelphia A's team that won the American League but lost, got swept. The day after for radio must have been crazy on that one. The Boston Braves sweep them in 4 games. Connie Mack had no answers in that series, despite having the MVP of the American League in the 1914 World Series. What a brutally back-to-back year for Philadelphia. Losing to Boston in 1914 to the Braves in the World Series, then losing to Boston, the Red Sox in 1915 in the World Series.
It's funny because that was the first time they greased the polls. And it just wasn't to be
no
had.
avail, clearly.
Yeah,
These
exactly,
teams had nothing. Oh, sorry, the Phillies didn't get swept in 15. They did win one of the World Series games. That's on me.
So
what was the sidebar for that one?
What's that?
What was the sidebar for the 1915 World Series?
I forget. I don't think we ran with it.
Oh,
yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, but Mopar says to us on the YouTube chat, what did Mike Schmidt and Steve Carlton, et cetera, get us? How many World Series? Good argument, because I brought that up. I said, that Golden Era team, they only did win one World Series. However, Mopar, I think the reason you retire those numbers, much goes to Matt. Like, Mike Schmidt won 2 MVPs. Mike Schmidt hit over 500 home runs, 548 home runs. Steve Carlton was the best left-handed pitcher of all time, and still arguably might be, and won multiple Cy Youngs here in Philadelphia, besides winning that championship. So as much as we look organizationally at Utley, Rollins, and Howard, Schmidt and Carlton is even bigger than that. Like, they're no doubt about Hall of Famers. Mike Schmidt is the greatest third baseman ever to play, although my brother-in-law Lou will argue with me that it was Brooks Robinson because he's a Baltimore person. Yeah. But, I mean, those guys are just without a doubters. So, but I understand what you're saying, Mopar. Love the conversation. All right, Matt, we have some texts about a subject we had earlier about the Phillies' identity.
Yeah, Joe from Schwenksville said their identity is clutch. They haven't been overpowering with home runs. Nobody has 10-plus K pitcher-wise, but at every moment somebody has stepped up. Sosa, Marsh, Casty, even clutch is their gene. Clutch is their identity.
I'll tell you what, and you saw it last night from a guy who's hitting around 200. Castellanos got up there. To me, it was the first pitch that he hit, right?
Yes.
Yeah, to me, he was wanting that moment. That's what it felt like. He went first ball hunting, goes to right field, gets the double, because he ran it out. He gets
Good
the
for
double.
him. No,
I don't
think
mind that a
That's
little
great.
bit.
That's you. He should run it out. And when you're struggling for extra base hits, go run that thing out. Make sure you get to second base. He knows earlier this season when he had that walk-off and he didn't have an extra base hit yet, that ball got over the outfielder's head, and he only got a single for what could have been a double for him. I mean,
Yeah.
Also, if they weren't playing him, probably a flyout. But it could have been a double for him. Go get those extra base hits, all right? Pad that slugging percentage.
Yes, and I made a mistake. I was corrected on our YouTube page. Schmidt won 3 MVPs, not 2. So, yeah, I think this Schmidt and Carlton thing is just kind of a different.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's arguing that they're on the level of those guys.
No. But I do think it's interesting. How do you feel about it? Do you feel all 3 of them should get retired? 610-632-0975. Matt, what else do we have on the text line?
We have some varying opinions on this number retire subject. One of them is somebody in Jersey, they didn't give a name. You have to start to separate. Utley is out of Hall of Fame and number retire talk. He doesn't have an MVP, so he's out. Howard was good, but Jimmy was the straw that stirred the drink. None of them should have their number retired, but if you had to pick one, it should be Jimmy.
None of them should. Now, I can't say I agree with that either. I don't know where I stand on this. I'm somewhere between all of them and at least one of them.
Yeah, I'm just shocked there, the feeling towards Utley. Like, Utley at his peak was the defining second baseman of that generation.
Yes. Yeah.
That, to me, that's his greatest case for the Hall of Fame, is that if you want to argue that the Hall of Fame honors the eras of baseball, that from 2005 till, 11's when really the injuries start, really creeping in for him, even 10 are there.
Yeah.
But, for that 5 to 6 year stretch, is there another second baseman in baseball you would have rather had?
Probably not.
Probably not. Like that, and that's his best case for the Hall of Fame. You had that here, and he's your best second baseman in your franchise's history. And also, again, one of only 2 World Series. Sometimes, we
we could be over. Yeah,
I think we're overthinking this.
Do we have something going the other way, Matt?
Yeah, Jimmy Rollins is arguably the second best position player in the entire history of the Phillies, so no question about him. In addition, those 3 players represent the second best era in the history of the franchise, and I believe they're all deserving of getting their numbers retired.
Okay.
That's Brian from Warminster.
We're running the gamut here. We'll keep the question out there to you. Give us a call, 610-632-0975. Do you agree that all 3 numbers of Jimmy Rollins, Ryan Howard, and Chase Utley, do you think they all should be retired by the Phillies? Or do you look at it as, yeah, they were great, but all they did was win you 1 World Series. Therefore, I don't know if you can retire all 3. I'm kind of sitting in the middle on all this. I think I'm leaning more towards I'm okay with it as Ray gets adamant on me. Somebody said that you slam dunked me earlier.
I did?
I know. That's what I was.
I have
was
never
like, wow.
dunked once in my life.
I didn't know that we were arguing against each other. I was putting it out there, and you had a definitive way of how you're looking at it.
Coming up at 11 o'clock hour, we're going to box.
Nah, I'm all right. So we'll get to all that. We'd love to hear from you, though. I think this is a fun subject. 610-632-0975. Give us a call, or you can text in at that number. Also, the 11 o'clock hour, I want to look into a little bit of what was said at the podiums yesterday down at the NovaCare complex with the Eagles, because among players and head coach Nick Sirianni, there was just some interesting things said that maybe we'll talk about. All that and a whole lot more here. Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back. Middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. Happy 11 o'clock hour to all of you. Looks like the rain's going to be rolling in a little bit later on today, so we got to keep our fingers crossed that the Phillies get that game in. They start at 4 o'clock. Aaron Nola on the mound for your fighting Phillies. Dylan McKinnon, who I absolutely love, came in to do a little Instagram thing, and I'm still thinking of the answer, I guess. So he's asking random questions like that would be in, say, like your senior yearbook, because, you know, people are graduating and stuff like that. His random question to me was, who among our coworkers is most likely to still be getting carded at 30 years old? I said you, Ray Dunn, because a clean-shaven Ray Dunn, I'm sure, gets carded an awful lot.
Yeah. Luckily, I'm still years away from 30.
Yeah, you are. So I was trying to go back, and I'm thinking, well, who else is there? Now, Haley will probably – girls always get carded until, you know, whatever. So Haley could be one. Who else? Now, Josh looks like he's 75, so we can't go with him.
Silvana.
Ooh, Silvana's – yeah. No, you know what, though? Silvana has that confident look of her that, you know, yeah, I'm over 21. Let's not mess around. Like, I don't think
There's no charade here. Just serve me the drink.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't think she gets carded until she's 30. Yeah, I'll stick with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a solid choice. I'd like to think.
I mean,
that I'm
Connor
gonna be
is
young
30,
forever.
right?
Is he?
I think so. I don't know. But
Wow.
Connor's, like I said to you, and thank God he's not listening now because he would probably get upset, but Connor's starting to get that, how do I put this nicely?
Uh-oh.
I think there's a time in his life, and I speak from experience, Connor, so don't get mad. I think it's coming that he is going to be a little follically challenged.
I'm not making any comments.
Oh, so he's going to get the monkey butt soon, huh? We got the hair in the sides and bald at the top.
I think, I don't know if it's going to go that way. I think it's going to go, the sides are up and he's got the thing down the middle. Like, I think his forehead is quickly approaching a 5-head.
I don't think he'll allow that. He'll get some fake hair or something.
He'll
fake the
probably do
funk if he
something,
has
yeah.
to.
Yeah, he'll probably do something to kind of hide. Matt, when Ray gets to laughing too much, mostly everybody can tell when they're laughing a lot. Ray just gets this look on his face, but it's not like a real laugh, and I can't tell if he's going to be able to speak or not.
Yeah, it's weird because his mic is still on and he was cracking up, but I heard nothing.
But you can't hear anything. It's so
like a silent
strange.
like one of those quiet sneezers.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of, it's definitely strange.
I just don't. I'm not making any comment on anyone else's hair until I at least get to the age where I think it's going to go.
Okay.
This is a bold time for me. I'm getting as many jokes in air-wise as I can, but I don't want to take the shot at someone that I could be following the path down within the next few years, because I know that could age poorly. Like, for my dad, I'll get jokes off at his expense in terms of the hair, but that's because I know at some point he's going to be able to throw it back. And it's fun. But, like, someone that's just above me in that, like, road to baldness, like, I know this is not forever.
No, it's not. As a matter of fact, I have eyes on you because I think that, I think you're going to be a premature balding person.
Oh, come on, dude. Really?
I do. Yeah, I really do. Yeah, I've seen people grow up.
My
in my
barber
life.
tells me that it looks good.
I don't know. If you were to part that hair, or pick it up, I think there's. Oh yeah, it's better than I thought. But you have real thin hair. You had like me. I had that real thin hair. I had it. Yeah,
This is how I found out I was going bald.
All right, this is how I want to tell. Look, I'm just a schlub here. I'm just a guy that talks behind a microphone. I have no validity really. I don't carry any weight on anybody. I am just a schlub here, which you all know. Well, you all know it. I've heard you say it behind my back, and that's fine. I don't.
That
email
email was supposed to go private.
I know. You and Connor talk a lot of times on there, but I am going to step up into a managerial, up into a ownership level right now, and I am granting this. JT Realmuto, you have the day off. My God, what that guy went through last night in that game against the Brewers. And for those of you that didn't see it, Matt Strom lines up a pitch. I don't know who was hitting for the Brewers. I forget, because once this happened, I cringed my way away from the television. But a full swing, the ball comes off the bat at 92 miles an hour and hits JT right in the spot where men only can know how much it hurts. And he went down like there was a sniper in the building, and rightfully so. and we know how tough JT Realmuto is. He went down on his back, and I think he was in so much pain that he was like, oh, my God, am I laying on my back? Because he doesn't like to show it. He seems like that kind of athlete that doesn't like to show he's in pain. Rolls over onto all fours and is trying like hell to shake it off. And, the thing, he wasn't even hiding where he was hurting. Like, he was trying to stretch it out. He was, spitting. John Kincade said he thought he was going to throw up. It's the worst feeling in the world. And somehow he gets through that. And he makes it and gives the thumbs up like only he could. And boom, ready back to play. I would have been scared as hell when that next pitch came. Like, I might have been bailing when the pitcher was winding up.
I would have turned to the bat boy, hey, go find the printer, print me off those retirement papers. It's over for me. That's the last pitch I would have been able to sit in there for.
Oh, my God. So that was bad enough. And he makes it through the inning, and you're like, wow, that guy's he's got stones, even if they were cracked a little bit. But
pebbles now.
So I've lost Ray. So then you go into, I think it was at the 9th inning or the 10th inning, where Milwaukee has a runner at third, ground ball to Stott. Stott throws home. Great throw. The guy slides, and sure enough, hits Realmuto right in the head. And his head snaps, and I'm like, oh, my God, now he's got a concussion. But he kind of like just shakes that off and keeps going. How that guy does it back there, I don't know. I've never seen somebody take shots that looks like it would put somebody else out for a while. This guy doesn't miss a pitch.
No, he's one of the toughest guys going right now in the sport. And especially last night, like that collision at the plate was about as old school as it gets in terms of a collision. Like you're not getting the guy taking out the catcher to take out the catcher anymore because they've taken that out of the sport. But that was about as old school as it gets. And he was tough in that moment, tough earlier in that game. And yeah, Stubbs, last night I think there was probably a little tap of the shoulder. Hey, we're probably going anyway today for the day game, but get yourself ready to go. You're catching tomorrow. Yeah. I can't imagine him being in the lineup today.
No. Now, look, it is a day game after a night game, but that's not always what Rob Thompson does with his catcher. JT doesn't always get off the day game after a night game. Maybe it was a scheduled day off, but
I hope so.
No matter what, JT, love you. I would even tape up his locker today. I would put, stuff around it so he can't get into his equipment. Yeah, nope, you're okay. Now, I don't know if I should ask you this question or not, Ray.
I'm now worried.
No. I'm trying to, and I'm not trying to be funny here, but when you have a sprained ankle, you turn an ankle and they're swelling, you elevate it, you ice it, we know all that stuff, what you do for that. What do you do for that type of injury that Realmuto sustained last night? I honestly don't know. I've never been hit there so bad that I was, going to miss a game or anything.
Yeah, 92 miles per hour off the bat. I don't know if I've got a good solution for that. I think that's a lot of time off your feet.
Yeah, I guess. You can't elevate.
If you call it, never mind.
I mean,
depends how happy you are.
We got some ads from running from people you can call.
Do you go to the freezer and get the frozen corn?
I think that's what it is.
Because if you're a man, and maybe later on in life after you've had some kids and you don't want to have kids anymore, you get this little procedure done.
Right.
Well, that's one of the things you do that I know from experience. You get a can of cold frozen peas.
No, not a can. Not a can, Bob.
A bag of frozen peas. Maybe that's why it screwed up my recovery. I was sitting there with a can. But, I don't know how they I don't know if the trainer calls him and says, hey, JT, let's make sure we sit in a cold bath.
A return to play plan for that one?
Yes. And if he was to miss today due to injury, how exactly do you put it on the injury report?
Lower body.
Yeah.
To go hockey mode on it.
All right, that's pretty good. I like that. Okay, the Eagles did speak yesterday, and I said we wanted to get into a little bit of this. So yesterday they have their first day of Mandy Minis, I call them, mandatory mini camps. And before they went out on the field, you had some guys talking about, some of the stuff that was going on. And one of them was Devontae Smith. And he was asked about the payments that he got, because we saw yesterday that Justin Jefferson got $35 million a year. It comes after Devontae Smith signed his for 25, right? Wasn't he $25 million a
3
year?
for 75, I think. Yeah.
Okay,
so
yeah. So $25 million a year. So, the question was asked about how do you feel about all of that?
But you can't be counting the pockets of others. I'm where I want to be. This is where I wanted to be. At the end of the day, it was still life-changing for me. Those guys that have got their deals, they deserve it. Great players and great people. At the end of the day, we're all blessed.
Players are always going to do some things wrong, say some things wrong, whatever. After I listened to Devontae Smith yesterday, I was thinking of this on the car ride in today. I've never found anything that he's done wrong, that he said wrong, that he, did on the field. Like, look, has there been some passes that maybe went through his fingers? He thought, he could have caught that. Okay, but I think it's been outplayed by how many times he's caught a ball that you said, how the hell did he catch that? He's just almost perfect to me.
I told you before, he's the miracle. He was drafted by the Eagles, and he's as a wide receiver, and he's everything he's cracked up to be. I mean, he's been great. And that answer was fantastic. I'm glad that it was just kind of like, I don't really think there was like the alternative. I always think, well, what if he had said something different, how I would have reacted? I don't think I really would have been in any place because like the contract, like the ink's not even dry at this point. Like it's not like there's a lot that was going to change off of that one. But I thought that was the perfect way to address a situation where, some other guys might have looked at it like, oh, man, really? That's where they're getting paid? I think he wants to be here. He's happy with it. That's that with it. I like that answer a lot.
I love it. I really do. And one of the first stories I read about Devontae Smith was when the Eagles drafted him and it might have been after his first season or going into. I'm not positive which one it was. But somebody did one of those behind-the-scenes stories. You travel with the guy for a couple days down in his hometown and see how he prepares for a season coming up. And just a really great story about how devoted he is to his profession, how seriously he takes it, and how that's kind of the only thing that is on his mind during the offseason getting ready for it. Okay, so some of the other players talked. There was Lane Johnson that, glowingly talking about everybody, which you're going to get in the preseason. Then you get Nick Sirianni comes to the mic. And yesterday we covered it live here, and we only had a couple of minutes to react to it because it took us up to about our end of the show. But Nick Sirianni was asked yesterday about, and there was a couple of things that either you chuckled at or you're kind of like, oh, that's funny, or there he goes, or you're downright kind of scratching your head. And one of those was when he was asked about the wide receivers and what they have going on.
I think one thing that we have going into game one is very similar to what Green Bay has going into game one is, there's unknowns. Right? There's a lot of unknowns that we won't be showing during training camp, and we won't be showing preseason games, and they probably won't as well. So, again, those guys have done a good job, whether it's an option route or whether it's different types of things with some options there. There's multiple things, but, again, those guys have done a good job learning the system. Kellen's done a really outstanding job teaching the system. And our quarterbacks have done a nice job of learning it and learning the system and getting the ball to the receivers.
Okay, that is the kind of answer. It's almost like I want to be a teacher here. What the hell was the question that he was answering? A lot of times if we listen to an answer, we say, oh, he was asked such and such, and that was his response. That response tells me nothing of what the question was because I don't think it even answers a question. The question, if I remember correctly, was something about the wide receivers freelancing a little bit to get open and stuff like that. And that's kind of what he was trying to explain. And he got into not showing anything now or in preseason that the Green Bay Packers could see.
So
what?
This is I got the transcript for you.
Uh-huh.
Ready?
Yeah.
Wide receiver Devontae Smith said that the offense gave the receivers more freedom. Would you agree with that assessment? And looking at it, thinking about that, what are some of the ways it does to give the receivers a little bit more? That was asked by Jeff McClain. Yeah, again, you'll see some things out there. You guys have seen some of the things out there without getting too much into the X's and O's. He didn't use competitive advantage. I was waiting for it.
You were.
I texted Andrew.
You were disappointed.
Immediately.
Andrew loves his competitive advantage.
Immediately. I was like, we got competitive advantage talk first time.
We didn't get core...
No core values.
Core values.
No core values. That was a shame. I think that one thing we have going into game one is very similar to what Green Bay has going into game one. Is there's unknowns, right? And then it jumps into that whole thing. There's more freedom. Would you agree with that assessment? Yeah, we got similar things to Green Bay going into game one. He doesn't answer the question. He answers whatever's on his mind. What he thinks you should know about him, that's what he tells you. It's hilarious. He is A1 at question dodging. I give him props. He would be a good shadow boxer.
he was later on. You have the transcript there. So he was later on, because I don't know if we have this soundbite, Matt, so don't worry about it. But he was later on asked about the depth at wide receiver. Do you have that one up, Ray? So it's a legitimate question. It's something I'm going to get into a little bit later about the Eagles. He was asked about the depth of wide receiver. I told you how so many of my questions, almost all of them, go towards the defensive side of the ball. There's a realization here that there is a lack of depth in a lot of places on the offensive side of the ball. So do you have that, Ray? So Nick Sirianni is asked about the depth of the wide receivers, and guess the first name who he goes with. Go ahead, Ray.
I like the depth. I really like the depth as far as the third spot. I mean, that could look a lot of different ways, right? That can look 12 personnel. That can look 21 personnel. That can work. We don't have a fullback, but 2 halfbacks. That can look like 11 personnel, right? And, that third, Grant Calcaterra has done an unbelievable job. He's shown toughness and mental toughness to get better there every single day. I noticed with every single day, I'm not, and so that he's a guy that's in there, I'm pleased with our depth. He goes on to mention that he is happy with the depth another time. So that's 4, I'm pleased with the depths. By the 5th one, I would have believed him.
I mean, you're asked about wide receiver depth, and you go to the backup tight end. Now, like you said, Calcaterra was on his mind. He must have said, somehow I got to work his name into something. Oh, wide receivers? Let's see. He's a guy that really blocks more than he catches, but he's a backup tight end. But anyway, I'll mention him in here now as like one of the depth of wide receivers.
They shook hands on the way into the presser.
I think there's bets that are made, but like maybe the PR people throw out thoughts or whatever, and he has to pick one, and it'll say something like somehow get Calcaterra's name in there, and puts it in his spot. Okay.
I worked with a broadcaster once that in between innings of a baseball game, they'd feed him a word, and he had to work the word into it. You think that's what's going on with Sirianni?
My brother used to do that to me when I was on Daily News Live.
Really?
Yeah, he would text me before I was going on TV, and he'd be like, here's the word of the day. And he would text me a word, and, somehow I had to work it in there. But what? What is that answer?
The third wide receiver, he goes Calcaterra, and then once he realizes that he's got too deep in the Calcaterra answer, he shouts out Paris Campbell, Ngata, Johnny Wilson, John Ross, Britton Covey, and then eventually turns it into, Howie does a great job of bringing guys in.
But it is a concern. The depth is a concern there at wide receiver. Okay, you bring up Calcaterra. If something happens to Dallas Goedert, my God, is there concern at depth at tight end? You look at an offensive line, you're trying to fill in, and it looks like Steen has the upper hand right now, that right guard spot. That's all the talk, that and Juergens moving to center. God forbid one of those guys gets hurt. Now you're having to scramble all over again. Now, they have some depth on the offensive line, but my point being, and after Saquon Barkley, there hasn't been a lot of talk about running backs because Kenny Gainwell, we all know what he is. Like, there is some serious depth that I want to talk about on the Eagles' offensive side of the ball also.
The first name he brings up for your third wide receiver depth has 9 receptions in the NFL and has been targeted 13 times over 2 seasons.
Yeah, not great. And John Ross, who he threw in there, has been out of football since when?
John Ross, I think he might be the camp darling.
It could be. He runs fast, although Keely Ringo was running step for step with him yesterday.
Keely Ringo right now is the first day. The first day he was, that was Keely Ringo day.
Yes.
We're all trying to position ourselves for who's going to win the Paul Turner Preseason Player of the Year award. That's what this is all about. Yeah.
Do we have anything like out there where we can maybe do some betting on it or something?
No. I've been trying to get in touch with sports books, but they're not taking my advice on that one.
Okay.
I think we could get a couple solid wagers in there. John Ross would be good odds for me early on.
All right. We still have a lot on the board here. We talked earlier about Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, and Ryan Howard. It was put out there on Twitter that those 3 might be the next in line to get their numbers retired all at once. How do you feel about that? Is that a rock solid, oh, yeah, those 3 deserve to get their numbers retired? Is it maybe 1, 2 of those guys deserve it? Do you feel none of them deserve it? I mean, they were great players for this organization. If you look at it that way, you can make the case there. You can also maybe look at it as, okay, if those were 3 guys on the same teams that got their numbers retired, shouldn't they have accomplished maybe more than 1 World Series? That's one of the things we have out there on the table. If you want to talk about that, 610-632-0975. When we get back, I went out with some guys yesterday afternoon, my old Daily News buddies. We had a bunch of people from the Daily News Sports Department. You know how great that was. The leader of the group, my former editor, all of our former editors, came up with a line about Nick Sirianni that I was really surprised at. I want to run it by and see what you have to say. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5, The Fanatic. Welcome back, 11:31 here on Middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. Glad you're with us. Hope you're having a good Wednesday. Hump day, we're getting over it, so it's all good. I had a great time yesterday. As Ray knew, and maybe I don't know if I shared it on air or not yesterday before, but met up with a lot of my former Daily News colleagues yesterday. Now, we try to do this every once in a while because we just had a great group of people and great, phenomenal workers that I was so lucky to work with and watch and learn work ethic from. But yesterday we went down to the Palladium yesterday afternoon and met up with, it's a pretty good group, and this is only like part of it. So you got Dick Girardi, who's in the College Basketball Hall of Fame because of the terrific writer that he is covering college basketball. Mike Kern, who is in the Big Five Hall of Fame, covered the Big Five, covered golf, covered everything for us, and is one of the funniest, without trying to be funniest people in the history of the world. Bernard Fernandez, who sadly just lost his wife, Annie. We wanted to get together with Bernard, get him out for a little while, who's in the Boxing Hall of Fame. Eddie Barkowitz, who is in everyone's Hall of Fame because he is just the greatest guy ever. Myself, who is nobody, and then the guy that put it all together, the guy that was like the director of the greatest sports section in the country for many years, Pat McClune. We're telling stories behind the stories, just incredible stuff and a lot of fun. And I shared one with Ray today about, I said, you don't know how good a sports section we were. And I gave him the example. I was driving into work. I was just about ready to go to work. I was working in the office when the day Wilt Chamberlain died. And it was about 5 o'clock or 4:30, something like that. And I was about to leave. It was a little earlier. And Pat called me, our editor. He's like, hey, need you to get in right away. All hands on deck. Wilt Chamberlain died. All right, cool, no problem. We had a 2 a.m. deadline. At 6 o'clock, we put together what we were going to do. A 36-page pullout with stories galore, stats, everything, all the ideas thrown together, and we pulled it off. We pulled off 36 pages on Wilt Chamberlain in 6 hours, in like 7 hours. And it was, I'll never forget it, like a major boss, one of the big wigs of the whole, not the sports department, of the whole paper, came over to me to ask a question. I was editing a story, and I remember I looked up at her, and I just said, you need to get away from me right now, please, because I had like 5 minutes to edit like a 42-inch story. But that was just the greatness of the people that I worked with at the Daily News. So anyway, we're sitting there yesterday, and we're talking about the current state of Philadelphia sports. And we brought up Nick Sirianni, and I think we might have been talking a little bit about his press conference or whatever. And Pat, who is one of the most calm, thought-out sports people I've ever been around in my life, kind of casually, maybe a little bit more than casually, says, yeah, Sirianni should have been gone. And I was like, what? And he kind of went on and explained a little bit more, but then when you're with a group of like 7 people, subjects change really quickly. So we really didn't get into it all that much. But I heard some talk yesterday on the best show ever. Ray, I know your reaction to Nick Sirianni's press conference yesterday. I'm of the belief, look, I see the shortcomings. I am one of the... I really would like you to prove to me what you do here. I just would like to see more of it. I don't think there's any way he could have been fired after last year. Not after making the playoffs for 3 straight seasons. Not after making the Super Bowl the year before. Not after losing your 2 coordinators going into last year. Look, I'm not defending. I'm just saying I don't think it would have been a good business move to say, yeah, we're getting rid of you now also. What do you were making faces already. I mean,
I think that's what it was, a business move. We can't get rid of a coach again this quickly after a Super Bowl run. I think that's what it was. That and him saying, all right, yeah, fine, I'll change the coordinators. We'll get rid of a lot of the coaching staff. We'll revamp it. We'll go into this with a fresh set of eyes versus last year. I think you absolutely could have fired him after that. That was, again, you were talking about, and I always get the year wrong with that Jets team, but there's only one other team in history that starts the way you start and fall apart the way you do in the entire league's history. And
that's one season.
Yeah, but there was a lot built into what went wrong there.
There's a lot to be put together to go 14-3 and get to a Super Bowl, too.
Absolutely. But when I look at the way that ended, and I look at the fact that it seemed like there was chaos on the offensive side of the ball, who's in charge, chaos on the defensive side, It stops with the guy who's in charge, and that's him. He was the guy that guided that. And on top of that, the most, I would say, thing that really solidified it for me in the way I felt about him was I went into the end of that season all right.
Hold on 1 second. Mopar, you're thinking of Paul Domowitch. Go ahead.
Okay. I went into the end of that season, and I was, all right, it's been horrible. It's going to be a playoff game. I don't think they're going to win this playoff game. But
did you say that on air that they weren't going to win?
Yes.
Okay.
We came in that day, and Andrew was like, it's a playoff game. We're going to get hyped for it. And I said, okay, I will allow you to hype yourself up for this game. They will not win. I will call Andrew if you need any more proof on that one. I did not think they would win that football game against the Buccaneers. They just looked like a team. You had said it. They looked like the worst team in football at the end of the season. With the talent they have on that team, they should not have looked like the worst team in football. That game, though, you know what Todd Bowles is going to do to you. You had seen Todd Bowles earlier this season.
Sure.
The fact that there was not even a morsel of a plan that looked like it made any sense against that team, to me was I don't know about this guy anymore. That was the straw for me. That was the one where I was like,
well, then that's a short straw. And look, I'm not defending. I really am not defending Nick Sirianni. I just don't think business-wise there's any way you could have moved it. Because
I think why he's here.
What's that?
Which I think is why he's here.
Right. But I think it's the right reason why he's here. I don't think there's any way you could have canned him after last year. No, 3 years of you improved the team from 2-5 to get to 9-7. Yes, you gave up the reins, and that's why they improved. Okay, no matter what, you're the head coach. Your team went from 2-5 to 9-7 and got to a playoff. You lost to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. The next year under that head coach, you go 14-3. You go to a Super Bowl. Shoulda, coulda, however you want to argue it. You shoulda, coulda won that game. You could have been Super Bowl champions. You didn't. It was a great, great game. You come back the next season, you win 10 of 11, and things hit the crapper. Does the little 7-game stretch of things hitting the crapper outweigh all the other good that I just laid out, that it cost you your job?
2021, going back there, when they were 2-5 to start, and they end up with the 9-8, they get in, they lose to Brady and all those things. Yes, they got in the postseason. It's nice to get in. It's nice, one of those things that it gives you a little bit of a benchmark for the next season. Giving up the play calling duties and also the teams they played down the stretch. They got Washington's 75th string quarterback for some of those games down the end. They got teams that were riddled by COVID, riddled by injury. They weren't exactly beating up on this is a team that's taking the league by storm. It's a team that's running its way to, all right, we got through this part of the schedule. They go 9-8. They get to the postseason. That's great. I don't necessarily give him a huge coaching accomplishment for the fact that he gave up what he was doing, and they ran into a lot of teams at a bad time and ended up going from 2-5 to 9-8. But he got guys to buy in, and hey, that's great. I think that leads to 14-3. The 14-3 season, I won't take the Super Bowl away from him. I'm still a little annoyed with I think 4-3 was what it was. Ends up going punting. I thought that they were aggressive throughout the season. I thought that he abandoned a little bit of who he was in that Super Bowl. It's not the sole reason they lost that game. I would have loved one stop defensively against Patrick Mahomes. Whatever. So, ultimately, good season for him. They start 10-1. Again, I'm not saying that they needed to go win the Super Bowl. You started 10-1, and on your schedule at the end of the season were the Giants, the Cardinals. All right, you got crushed by the 49ers. Fine, you get crunched. That's a bad game. You don't look like you have any sort of a response against the Cowboys, where you lose by 20 in that game. Seattle, I hate the trip to Seattle for this team. It's one of those things where it's not even football-based. Every time they go to Seattle, I think they're losing the game. I just, bad thoughts when they go out to the Northwest. I hear you on that one.
I absolutely hear you on that one.
So they lose that game, and the end of the game, all right, Hurts and A.J. Brown freelance it. 3-game losing skid.
And real quick on that one, and I know that's stated an awful lot. Oh, they went rogue. Stop. Okay? They also admitted it happens a lot during the season where they do things outside of what was called. We don't know how many times it works, so let's not keep blaming them that they went rogue and lost the game. It's probably something that happened, and they said it happens an awful lot. It probably happened to the good an awful lot also. But go ahead.
Yeah, but what I mean is, all right, fine. If we want to give the guy the benefit of the doubt on things, I will also present the other things. Because I could go that, they lost in Seattle. To that Seattle team, really, Drew Lock? How did Sirianni lose to that team? So that's the only reason I bring that up, as more context to that loss. But teams that had 3-game losing streaks last year. 49ers, Chiefs. How do you respond to adversity? How do you respond to that team, led by him, did not respond to the point where down the stretch, I'm not talking about going and, having to beat, make that NFC championship run. You need to beat the Cardinals. You need to beat the Giants. Like, they nearly ruined Christmas for everyone. Like,
he wants to fire the head coach because he ruined my Christmas.
I mean, he didn't, but he pretty much could have, the way his team played. Like, to me, down that stretch, all right, you lose 3 games in a row. How do you respond? There was no response from that group. It was not at all inspiring what you got out of Sirianni there at the end.
Don't disagree with you when you're mentioning the teams they lost to at the end. Let's not forget that during the season, they had a 3-game stretch where they beat the Cowboys, the Chiefs, and the Buffalo Bills.
It did.
In successive weeks.
Absolutely.
Like, you can't forget that.
They lost to Baker Mayfield in the
having
playoffs.
non-answers to you knew what was coming and you didn't stop it, that's egregious. I don't know with the whole resume if it's fireable.
I don't know. I would like to think that if you worked in a different industry and you got years and years of great work, but you put together a quarter or a half a year where your business plummets all the way to the bottom of your profession, and you stood around and you had no answers to it in that profession, they say, hey, you know what? That great resume, we'll go get you a job somewhere else.
Wow.
I don't think you get bailed out just because, you put together a lot of great things in the past. Like, ultimately, it's a what have you done for me lately type of thing. He's still here. All right, I'm going to give him the chance this year. Like, it's not that, they really should go do something else. I've accepted it. He's the coach. He's going to get, when he deserves credit this year, he'll get his credit. But the way last season ended, there's a lot of professions elsewhere you'd be shown the door.
All right. I was surprised yesterday, as I said, as we were sitting having a little something to eat and all, and talking about this thing, I was a little surprised that my former boss casually said, yeah, Sirianni should have been out of here. I don't think I wouldn't have done it. I've elevated myself to the hierarchy of boss for the Phillies today and have given JT Realmuto the day off. It's not a huge decision. It's probably, the right decision. That's what I've done. Now I'm promote myself to the hierarchy of I own the Eagles or whatever. I would not have fired Nick Sirianni after last year. I'm surprised at this. Is it a conversation that I've kind of let get out of my head because I never would have done it? Would you have done it? Let's put that out there as a question. I was shocked yesterday. Not shocked. More than surprised. Very surprised that my ex-boss said, yeah, should have been out of here. What do you say? Do you think Sirianni was lucky to retain his job and be the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles this year? Do you think the Eagles made the right decision? Do you think he should have been gone for a lot of the reasons that Ray just laid out? 610-632-0975. Love to hear about this from you. Also, want to take a deeper look into the Phillies, too, as they have 100 games left. We can have fun with 100 games and figure out some things and maybe see where it takes us as far as some numbers go. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. I was telling Ray off air that my former boss, the aforementioned Pat McClune, had some nice words to say about you yesterday. And I brought up that Pat McClune said yesterday when we met that he thought Nick Sirianni should be fired. And it was one of our conversations here. And then he sent me a text during the break, and he said, that Ray Dunn is a smart guy. Ha ha, told you.
Appreciate that, Pat.
Yeah.
Pat's good in my book.
Yeah. You okay, though? Like, you came walking in here, so I stayed in the studio during the break. Oh, and by the way, just a reminder, Keith Jones, president of the Flyers, talked earlier this morning, so we're going to have a little bit of that later on to talk about with you to hear what Keith Jones had to say. But you came in to the studio and didn't look right. And I'm like, are you okay? And all you did was shake your head, sit down, and put your headphones on. You didn't even answer me.
Yeah, I'm not okay. I kind of want to throw up. I'm disgusted. I am disgusted with what I've seen. I was just scrolling social media on, our break here, a couple minutes to catch up on what's going on in the world. Somebody put out a tweet from over in England of a shirt they are selling for the London series. A white shirt that features both the Phillies and Mets logo.
Okay.
In no world should those two things ever be featured on the same shirt. That's gross. This is disgusting. This is, honestly, I think
the wording around it? Like London Series 2024?
No, it's literally, the shirt is just Phillies and Mets logos.
Oh, and it's like a button-up Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, draped all over the shirt.
Here, let me see that.
There's no wording or anything?
No wording. It's just the Phillies logo and the Mets logo draped on a shirt together.
Like $4.99? What the heck kind of
It's
crap is that?
It's a button-up shirt. That's got to go.
It's an no offense to you, but it's an ugly shirt that looks like Ray would wear.
Yeah.
And I'm not
that shirt though.
You know what I
certainly
mean.
not. Yeah, I would wear a button-up shirt that has
Matt, I'm trying to look up the price on this thing, but I can't. Is it by the Fanatics? No, it's London.
It literally has an MLB logo on the tag. This is something.
does.
Yeah,
You're
this
right.
is something that's been issued out there. This is not. No, this is not
good.
some guy. Here,
Can I show it to the YouTuber?
yeah, I was going to take it to
Okay.
show the YouTube people,
I
but
don't
it's
know.
a
Hopefully that's
white
working.
shirt that's got the Phillies and Mets logos all over it,
It's
like patterned
disgusting.
together. It's gross. I suggest.
I agree with you. It's gross. I don't know if it's throw up or
It was
gross.
I don't want the Mets logo anywhere near, especially right now. The Mets barely deserve to be on the same field as the Phillies.
Yeah. No, there's not many teams besides the Yankees that deserve to be on the same field as the Phillies.
I think what we need to do is we need a Philadelphian that's over there right now to gather up all of these T-shirts. We need to take them across the Atlantic, and when we play the Red Sox up in Boston, we need a second Boston Tea Party.
You funding
Instead,
it?
it's a Boston T-shirt party.
You're the one that has friends over there.
Yeah.
You told me this morning that your roommate and his girlfriend were taking off to London to go see this Phillies Mets game. When is he getting there?
They got there they left last night, so technically this morning for us, this afternoon for them. I mean, I'm going to send a text if they
They're
see
there.
them. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, those shirts should be taken, brought back across the Atlantic, and thrown into the Atlantic.
Into the Boston Harbor. You're going to
In the
call
Boston
another Boston.
The
team.
Boston T-shirt party.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe go down to one of the to the great restaurants right there on the water in Boston, downtown Boston,
That'd
where
be
they
nice,
sell
too.
lobster rolls that are absolutely delicious, and accidentally or purposefully just have a box of those shirts and dump them right on in.
I was on.
Now we don't want anybody to get arrested or anything like that. Maybe
Well, it's
there's
my roommate,
another way
so-
we. Jeez.
I doubt this is going to be the only shirts that are going to be there. This is an event over there. So that group of shirts that you just showed, there's going to be a lot more. So if you want everything collected, there's going to be probably stuff on the streets. There's going to be more varieties of shirts. So
It's a big task you're asking,
that's a
Ray.
huge task.
It is a huge task. Well, guess what? We're a big fan base. There's a lot of people head over there.
Not everybody got Ray Dunn money.
Whoa. I didn't say go pay for this.
Oh, I got a nephew
Somebody's
and
gotta
his
fund
girlfriend
it.
heading over there. Should I text them?
Yeah.
Buy up whatever you see that is that shares of Phillies and Mets logo, and let's
Those should not be sold.
it's
At
not. It's not right. I don't like it. I'm not
No.
one of those. Oh God, I can't stand but I don't like that a little bit. I know a former coworker that we had would probably, as you said earlier, so gracefully, probably would throw up.
Yeah, it's disgusting. I
that.
just sent you. I don't know if you saw it, Matt. I just sent it. Maybe I'll tweet out the picture of what I saw so people can see exactly what that T-shirt is. That should go. Absolutely. Yeah, it's gross.
I thought it
It's
was
just
a
an
shirt
ugly
with
shirt,
just
too.
two logos on it.
No, like if they did like
It's
London
logos
series,
covering
Phillies,
the
Mets.
entire shirt. Yeah, that's
Right.
horrible.
Yeah. Got to go.
What the hell is?
Yeah,
New-
that's a
new
bad
era.
look. Now you're also going to have, you'll have the T-shirts that'll have the Mets and Phillies on one side, and the Mets on the other. It's going to say, London Series 2024. And where's the game being played? Do you even know the name of the stadium? I don't.
London Stadium.
Oh, it's London
I think
Stadium.
it's literally called London Stadium.
Literally?
Literally.
Okay.
And not figuratively. Certainly not figuratively.
I don't think I looked it up. I'm pretty positive that I did not look it up. All right, just a reminder that you're looking it up right now.
Yes, that's on. I mean, Phillies Met London Series back this summer. Can we stop with the whole PR thing? Just tell me it's at London Stadium.
Wow. Race against PR people. 6-1.
Whoa. No.
No.
Don't spin this on me.
All right, when we get
I
back,
think so.
we have it out there. We have some text on it that I'm going to ask Matt to read when we get back also. But I was surprised yesterday. Surprised that someone I respect so well in this business, in the sports world business here in Philadelphia, just casually said, yeah, Sirianni should have been gone. How do you feel about that? Do you think he should have been gone after last year? Or do you think the Eagles made the right decision in keeping him here? I am of the ilk of, I don't think there's any way you could have fired him after the resume that he's built through 3 seasons, even though the last 6-7 games of the season were what they were. Let us know, 610-632-0975. You can give us a call. Love to talk to you on the air, or send a text and we'll read them on the air. This is Middays. I'm Bob Cooney, 97.5, The Fanatic. Welcome to the 12 o'clock hour. So glad to have you with us. Hope you're having a good Wednesday out there. To the listeners on the radio, on the stream, on your phone, wherever you might be, whether you're on our YouTube page, you know we love you guys tremendously. Thanks for being with us. Talking about a whole bunch of things today, and we do have some things we want to play you from the Flyers press conference this morning as Keith Jones talked to the assembled media about what happened with the Flyers this season, what's coming up with Matvei Michkov. I know you're very excited, Ray, for the coming of Matvei.
Very excited.
We also have a question on the table that I want to get back to. We talked this morning because I saw it on Twitter, and the great Tom McCarthy was responding to somebody that tweeted at him, asking the question, hey, Tom, who's the next person to maybe get their number retired from the Phillies? McCarthy's response was, it wouldn't surprise me if it's the big three at some point. So the big three obviously being Utley, Howard, Rollins. So I put it out to these guys. We were just casually talking before the show, and I said, what do you think of those three? Do they deserve to get their numbers retired? Connor, I think, thought about it a little bit, and I don't think he agreed on all three. Andrew was yes, no question. Ray is yes, no question. Matt Monarch, who is in producing for Ray today, as Ray is my co-host, believes that all three should be retired. I still haven't come to a conclusion because I have to talk things out in my head, Ray. I'm just not that quick. It's like editing a story. You can't just, you have to make sure of
Deadline's
of the
2
facts.
o'clock, Bob.
It is. So I got plenty of time. Because the thought in my head was, at first, yeah, I understand it. And then I started thinking, well, wait a minute. You had three guys whose number you're going to retire, and they won one World Series. So I thought, wow, is that retirement worthy? If you had three guys whose numbers you're retiring on the same team, and you say, wow, that must have been a dynasty, but it really wasn't because they only won one World Series, is it deserving? Then we went deeper, and we said, well, Jimmy Rollins is the all-time hits leader for the Phillies. Kincade said something I don't think he had the numbers in front of him, but from his memory, I think he said something like, I think 90% of the people who are the leading hitter on their teams have their numbers retired. I don't know. That was a number he might have had in his head, maybe. In Ryan Howard, you have the second all-time leading home run hitter to Mike Schmidt, a guy that was just unbelievable. His numbers are astronomical through a 5-year stretch. And then in Chase Utley, if we're talking eras, during his era was probably the best second shortstop, and during the modern era was the best second shortstop in Phillies history. That's the case for it. Is that enough? Would you be okay? And it's not a slight at all. It could be that you revere retiring numbers more so than just saying, yeah, you three guys, you were the heart and soul. Everybody loved you. You were the three big guys. You get your number retired. How do you stand on it? How do you stand on it as far as would you retire all three of their numbers? Also, we talked about Nick Sirianni. I said I was out with my old boss yesterday. He casually said, yeah, Sirianni should have been fired after last year. It surprised me. So I put that out there to you also. Should he have been retained after last year like he was, or do you think he should have been let go in Nick Sirianni? 610-632-0975. Matt, you said we had some text answers to, I believe, the Sirianni question, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. We have a couple. This one is from Bacardi, I guess, in Jersey. He said last year wasn't Sirianni. It was a QB play. He's a one-read and run QB who didn't want to run last year. Jalen Hurts can't read a defense. So he's saying Sirianni's off the hook.
That's whenever anybody talks in definitives, my ears perk a little bit. Like, he can't read a defense. Look, is he the best at it? No. Is he the worst at it? I'll say no. I don't. Do you think everything falls last year? Pretty much from what that texter said from Bacardi. Does everything fall on Jalen Hurts last year?
No, I don't think so. I would certainly not think that way, considering multiple offensive players seemed confused as to who was in charge and what exactly was going on there. And we're not even one day now. We're working on day 2 of mandatory minicamp. We got a wide receiver thrilled that there's motion and movement in their offense. Yeah, I'll hold off on the whole Jalen Hurts was the reason why last year was bad.
Now, it's funny. We talked about this yesterday from our interview with Brian Westbrook on Monday, where Westbrook just totally laid it all on Jalen Hurts, saying if he's mediocre, this is a mediocre team. If he's really good, it's a 12 to 13 win team. And it all falls on him. He says it's a simple answer. It's not the sexy answer, but it's the truthful answer. So, a guy like Brian Westbrook has put it all on Jalen Hurts for this year. And we talked about it a little bit yesterday. Does he have to be great for this team to be great? Or can he be very good and this team be great? Because he's got a lot surrounding him.
Yeah, I think he could be good and this team will be great. I think they do have enough talent on that side of the football where if he's good, they could still be great. Now, I like the way the texter yesterday broke it out of like, yeah, he could be good during the regular season, but if you want to go get that trophy, he's got to be exceptional in the postseason. I agree with that. I mean, I think he's going to have to be exceptional. He was exceptional in the Super Bowl. Save that fumble. Yeah. And they didn't win. So like that, I mean, that's the level of play like you expect in the postseason to actually go win a title.
Right. I have Stanley Krupinski or whatever saying Bob Utley was a second baseman. You keep saying shortstop.
You were saying second base and shortstop. I think you were trying to combine Rollins and Utley. People
I wasn't. I certainly know that Chase Utley was the second baseman. Yeah. Thank you, Stanley. If I
that's why I didn't stop you on that one. I didn't even look at the time because I was like, I know what Bob means.
Yes, I did not. So any more texts, Matt, do we have about the Nick Sirianni or maybe the retiring of jersey numbers?
We have a Sirianni one. This is from a first-time texter from Jersey. On Nick, is it possible he is hamstrung by Howie? Does Nick even have any real power? I feel as if he doesn't have much power. They keep him around because he is a yes man. How much input does he really have?
That's the big question, right? Like the big question surrounding it seems to be growing of the what exactly is it that you do here. Now, here's the evidence behind it before we get to you, Ray. They're 2-5 in his first year. He says, I'm not good enough at calling plays. They go from 2-5 to 9-7 in the regular season, make the playoffs, lose at Tampa Bay. Get 2 new coordinators in the next year who have phenomenal years, a defense that had 70 sacks, an offense that was really, really good, that goes 14-3, that loses in the Super Bowl. Kudos that Nick Sirianni, oversaw all of that. Then last year, we saw a team that went 10-1. It was a but 10-1, as I described it. Yeah, but they're 10-1. Yeah, but, and you had a lot of buts in there about what was different about that team. They fire a defensive coordinator. He says it was his doing. He brings in Matt Patricia, another defensive coordinator, and nobody seemed to be on the same page anywhere on that football team at all for those last 7 games. That lends proof to what you wanted to do, Ray, and that was to get rid of Nick Sirianni. But how are you going to counter that?
Well, no, I think the hamstrung thing is interesting because you bring up exactly where I think the one moment he may have been hamstrung. You asked the question last week if we could ask someone some question in sports to get an honest answer, what you want.
Oh, yeah, okay.
What about this?
Attaboy. See, that's my job is to make you think, I believe. And our wonderful listeners out there.
Yeah,
I like to think.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for making me think. I need to make sure that brain still works. But I thought about it, and I would love to ask Sirianni truthfully about that defensive coordinator situation.
Was it his decision?
Was it you?
It's funny. The day it was announced, we were on air doing an Eagles pregame show, and my first thought was, I think he's trying to save his own ass by saying, all right, I have a decision that I want made. I want you to back me, in the hopes of it would turn things around and he would look like the genius. Then I later thought that maybe Howie and Jeffrey Lurie got together and said, somebody's got to go. This isn't going right. Somebody's got to go. It can't be Sirianni. At 10-3, I believe, was the record at the time when they let go of Sean Desai.
Yes, because they were on their way to – because Seattle was the next game. Because they were playing Monday night in Seattle, and I think it was that Sunday that news came down, and Jalen Hurts was sick and taking his own plane.
Right. So that's my first thought. Then my second thought was, did they get together and say, well, we can't can Sirianni because he's 10-3 and just went to a Super Bowl. Let's make something else happen. I think Nick Sirianni went to them and said, something's got to happen. What's your thoughts on it?
That guy? I'm
hear
loyal
you.
to my guy. You know, like I want to. Like they made a whole big thing about how loyal it was, how much he wanted to foster that growth within there. There's one guy in that building that I know and before has wanted some say on what's happened with coaches. That just smelled like a Howie move to me.
Yeah.
Just
I
smelled
could
like a
see
Howie
that
move to me.
too. Yeah, I could see that too. I was just wondering if the whole, all right, things are going bad. What is Sirianni doing here? I just wondered if it got into his head, like maybe some panic. Uh-oh, I got to prove myself.
It was a panic move regardless. Whoever did it.
But yeah,
somebody
exactly, yeah.
flinched in that room and panicked. Patricia, though, brought in because of the relationship with Howie. Like, to me, it just was like, all right, this was like you're a case of emergency. Like, you know what? Sirianni, you got to hold the offense. Like, we got Johnson, who's hurts his guy. Like, you guys, I got you with the offense. Let's just bring in this guy just in case, you know, we didn't get the defensive coordinator we wanted.
Yeah, it's
Let's
interesting.
bring a little experience in the room, and if your defensive coordinator of choice doesn't work out, mine's hanging out in the back of the room, just kind of watching. We'll see if it works out. And it didn't. It was a disaster.
Yeah, it
Whoever made
was.
the decision. I mean, it was brutal. But I still, there's a lot of things I can hold against Sirianni at the end there. I still am not totally convinced that I'm holding the Patricia move as a Sirianni decision.
Yeah, fair enough. And that would be a good question that you could get honestly answered. That was a great topic when I brought it up last week. Wasn't
Fantastic. It was.
Maybe
It had
one
me
of the
thinking
best.
for a week.
A week, yeah.
Yeah, I mean-
As a matter of fact, one of your friends texted me, said you guys were out down the shore and then Ray disappeared and you came back after a while. They didn't know if you were getting sick or if you were, you found the young lady or something like that. And they said that you came back and you said, no, I was pondering something that Bob brought up on the show about asking somebody a question and I just wanted to get my thoughts on it.
I ended
So-
up down the shore this weekend?
Ray, just go along with it, will you? Tasty Cake Dom, you're on the cell. What's going on, Dom? How are you today?
I'm good, Bob. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks, buddy.
You guys always have great, really interesting topics that make you want to. I mean, I guess it's your guys' job to be interesting enough that a guy like me is motivated to call, right? So you
We
guys
try to be
do that.
interesting. Yes, it is part of the, I guess, job description,
really
right?
great. And another thing, real quick, I find myself like last night. I was watching Ray and Tom. They're really good together. I really enjoy that.
They're okay. Don't. let's
I
not
like
get
working
carried
with
away.
him. He's a good dude.
So the two things that I wanted to say to you, Bob, was I think that Rollins and Utley and Howard can go in together because the Sixers only won one. They got four guys in the rafters, don't they, on that team?
Yeah, probably. It was
they're
funny.
all Hall of Famers, but
Yes.
they only won. If the criteria is how many you won, they only won one as well.
Well, it's funny because was it you, Ray, who brought it up, or Andrew? Somebody brought up the Yankees and said, "Look at all the numbers they every time." I don't compare. Like, I really don't like to say, well, this organization did this, so this one should do that, Dom. I'm just looking at this individually, so I'm not going to compare it to anything. But the big three, Howard, Utley, and Rollins, you think all three should get their number retired?
Yeah, I really sure.
Okay.
I guess I'm more generous with things, Bob, because in the just to throw this in the Andy Reid era, they put Dalk and Donovan in there, but I think Trey and Runyon got to go in. I mean, they were great players to me. I think those jerseys got to be retired.
Yeah, it gets really weird. Dom, thanks so much. You know we always love talking to you. It gets weird when you start talking retiring of numbers. Does it equate to a Hall of Fame? Should a Hall of Famer have his number retired? Now you have the Wall of Fame. No offense to the Phillies, and I don't mean this in a but it's kind of become the infamous Wall of Fame in that, you're putting guys in, people call it Mike Lieberthal, Ron Reed. You start talking guys like, what exactly is it for? Is it just for guys whose names you recognize, like, hey, you're a Wall of Famer and you're a Wall of Famer? I don't know. It's always nice to be honored, and I never put down or would put down somebody being honored by the organization because a lot of times they probably did more for the organization than any of us know. But yeah, this retiring of numbers I thought was a nice little subject to bring up to talk about today. And John, brought up something that I think is interesting. Trey and Runyon. They're always tied together, the two of them. I am not speaking on I would like to take those two apart. I don't know if those two would like to be recognized individually also. They should be. I think no question, I think their numbers should maybe be retired by the Eagles.
There we go. That's our summer. That'll be our summer project. We're gonna start that. We'll start pushing that.
All right. Okay, we could do that. All right, so we're
just one thing.
Okay.
You mentioned the Wall of Fame.
I did.
It's interesting. You talk about like Lieberthal and some of the people are Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, Jimmy Rollins closer to that level or closer to the retired numbers level in your mind?
The Wall of Fame, the reason I call it,
well, no, but
God, they're above Wall of Fame-ish.
Right, well, they're above Wall of Fame, but they have to rise a certain threshold above the Wall of Fame to be in the retired numbers, like Pantheon here. Are they closer to the players that we named earlier that have retired numbers, or are they closer to the Ron Reeds, the Mike Lieberthal?
Well, they're closer to the retired numbers.
That's to me what pushes it. Like, they deserve something above just being on that Wall of Fame. If that's the only recognition,
so I was thinking about this earlier. It's a shame that their nickname is the Big Three, which is weird. So you retire the number 3, and then you put Rollins, Utley, Howard. But you can't do that because there's a number 3 here who probably will have his number retired. Is there some kind of a patch? Is there some kind of something that you put up there that acknowledges those 3?
Yeah, I got it. Number 6, number 11, and number 26. That's what you put up there.
What's 6 and 11 and 26? How about if you add up all the numbers? That's 37 and 6 is 50.
No,
43. 26 and 11 would be 37, and 6 would be 43.
Really? Yeah, that's how that works. Wow.
Yeah, it's called math. Is there a problem with that chair over there that people can't do math? Because Amy was struggling with that the other day.
Yeah, I don't know why I overshot
Maybe you
that.
put up 43 and you put their names. And you put 6
Randy
plus
Wolf's
11. Yeah, Randy Wolf was 43.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now you're going to retire Randy Wolf. Is Randy Wolf in the Wall of Fame?
Imagine you go to the ballpark. You look at number 43. Oh, what's number 43 mean? Oh,
but you have their names there.
Oh, yeah.
And you have like 6 plus 11 plus whatever, 26. And you have their names and 43. Something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, why don't we divide it by 3? You get, what, 11.67? 11.7. That number's retired.
See, now you're just acting like an idiot.
What?
Matt Lansdale, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Matt?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good, buddy.
Happy Wednesday.
You too.
I just wanted to make a comment about the Nick Sirianni thing. I've had very mixed emotions. Firing, keeping him on, everything. But just recently, with the company that I work for, they just fired our managing director after a couple years of doing a great job, in my opinion. And their reasoning behind it was, we need a new face. We need someone to bring us to our goals. We didn't see this guy, accomplishing our goals. And, it lit a fire under everyone. Regardless if everyone liked him, it was one of those things where it's like everyone kind of puckered up and was like, oh, man, maybe I need to work a little harder. Maybe I need to, put more work in. Just to show that, our coach is a good fit for us. And I've been always flip-flopping, we shouldn't have fired him. He's only been here for 2 years. But now I'm on the side of I think we should let him go and bring in somebody with a little more experience, someone with a little more kind of like an aggressive approach, like an old school, like we have Vic Fangio coming in. So I'm, this whole conversation of firing Nick Sirianni, I'm definitely on board with now. And it's just interesting how everything has transpired in the past year.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate the call. Like Matt has an instance in his own life of a boss getting fired and getting fired, and it lit fires, in his words, under other people because they were either mad, whatever. I don't know. And he brings up Vic Fangio and old school and all that. Look, on paper, Vic Fangio, Kellen Moore. Yeah, they look like really good hires, and we heard Adam Schefter on there today. But I don't know. I don't know yet. I got to see it first. I'm not going to anoint Vic Fangio like one of the greatest defensive coordinators of all time coming in here and having all the answers to all these questions, because there's tons of questions there. Kellen Moore, yes, you've been given an awful lot. But you lose a wide receiver, you lose a tight end, things change drastically on that offensive side of the ball because there isn't a lot of depth there. All right, just a reminder that Matt Breen is going to join us at 1 o'clock from the Philadelphia Inquirer, Inquirer.com, talk about all things Philadelphia. We have a lot of great conversations going on today. I want to look at these last 100 games for the Philadelphia Phillies also because baseball is such a great numbers game. So let's have fun with it a little bit in looking at 100 games and projecting out maybe where the Phillies may be. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Back middays, 12:30 on this a little gloomy Wednesday. Rain's supposed to be coming. Hopefully, if you're going to the Phillies game tonight, you get yourself. I think BP, Brendan Petrilli's going to the game tonight. From here, if you are out there, make sure you have the rain gear with you. Be ready for it because it does look like it's coming. So a couple of things coming up for you. Matt Breen's going to join us at 1 o'clock to talk all things Philly sports. I have some cuts from Keith Jones, who talked today about kind of the future of the Flyers and what's going on there. I'm interested in what he had to say about Matvei Michkov, so I'm sure we're going to get some sound on that. I'll play that for you in a little bit. Also, if Jalen Hurts, we were just talking, this is like fluidly moving here. Some of the players are starting to talk at the Eagles Mandy Minis. We may get a Jalen Hurts. If he does go live, we may break in. We're going to try to break in, or we will break in, to Jalen Hurts speaking live. So we got all that on the table for you. A lot of talk going on today. The topic of conversation that we keep going back and forth about is, should Utley, Rollins, and Howard all have their number retired by the Phillies at the same time? I'm still thinking it out. I have an hour and a half to come up with a decision. Ray says definitely yes, as does Matt Minaric, who is producing our fine show, our stellar show, maybe below average show, whatever you want to, however you want to label it today, says all in yes. Connor Thomas was thinking about it. I think he went maybe 2 out of 3. Kind of another question. Can you do one without the other two? Can you do 2 without the other one? It's all out there, but chime in on it. 610-632-0975. Let us know what you think about Utley, Rollins, Howard. Should all of their numbers or some of their numbers be retired by the Philadelphia Phillies? All right, your Phillies right now, Ray. You know their record. It's 43-19.
Pretty good.
That's a 69% winning percentage.
Nice.
69%.
Yeah, it's a good number. Okay, so they're 43-19. I told you about their projections. Come on, grow up. I told you about the projections. You be quiet. That I saw earlier today. The projection was that they would win 103 games. In order to do that, they would have to go 60-40 in the final 100 games. When I say that record to you, what do you think?
Attainable.
By this baseball team.
Yes.
So, last year, I looked up last year's standings. Do you know how many teams in baseball played 600 or better baseball for the season?
Let's see. 5. How
about 4?
Oh, man. Who didn't do it?
So,
what team?
What team screwed
I don't
you?
even know baseball.
What team was at like 599? Well, you had the Phillies at 556. You had 568 for the Brewers last year. So anyway, you had 4 teams.
The Phillies. They were the next closest ones. Thanks a lot, guys.
549.
If you guys just woke up in April and May last year, we would have had 5 teams playing 600 baseball.
So you're asking the Phillies over these last 100 games to play at a pace that only 4 teams did all of last season. That's interesting, because if they do go 60-40, that leads them to a organization record of 103 wins.
Yeah.
Okay, 60-40 attainable by you. That plays out to 103-59. As I said, only 4 teams played 600 ball or better all of last season. Of their pace that they're on right now, the pace of baseball in which they are playing, it would lead to them going 69-31 in their last 100 games. That plays out to a 112-50 season.
That's pretty good.
You're laughing. Is that unattainable?
I don't want to say anything.
Laughing
Unattainable.
because you said 69 again. Grow up, Ray.
I know. He
I'm not
really
laughing
does.
about it.
Like, I mean,
I'm sorry. I'm happy to be on the show and talking about baseball.
You
God,
just
I
told
can't
Sue
smirk
you
or
hated
smile.
that chair.
The chair, this physical chair.
No, you didn't know. I
It's
didn't
the
take it that
physical
way.
chair.
I took it that you hated the co-hosting chair.
I love doing what I do. The chair, it bothers me a little bit. It's a little low. I don't really like the way the back is positioned. I'll be honest, all right? I could use a different chair.
You should grab that one in there in the other studio, because that's not the one that Matt's sitting in, but the one next to Matt, because that's a good chair.
Yeah,
also.
it's a nice chair. I like what I'm doing, Bob. Don't try and spin this.
No, not me. Never.
No,
I'm always about the goodness
you
of
guys
Ray
are trying to
Dunn.
make me a villain here.
No, never.
They
could
could
never do that.
They could. It's very hard to win 112 games. Like, I was pretty. I would say subdued in my prediction for the number of wins this season. At this point, they would have to I think they'd have to go 500 or 51 and 49 to get to my win total for them this season.
If they go 50 and 50, that would be a 93 win season.
Yeah, so they'd have to go 51 and 49 to get my 94 wins.
Okay, I was at 97.
I think they're going to far exceed my win total. I do think that they could end up in the 103 to 107 range of wins. I think 112 is probably pushing it in terms of what they would have to do. It's a long season. Baseball, we've seen they've been able to dodge a couple of bullets here with a couple of different guys going down.
So what's your new number?
105.
Okay. So this is going to be a record-breaking season for this team as far as wins go, because as we know, they've only gone over 100 wins 3 times. 70, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you know these dates. It's 76, 77, and 11.
Yep.
Right. And
101, 101, 102.
Right. Okay. So eclipsing the mark it looks like it's to be had.
Yeah, I think it's to be had. I mean, you talk about, all right, to go 60 and 40 the rest of the way, yeah, it feels attainable for them to play that way the rest of the season with the way the pitching's going, with the lineup they've got. We've talked about a couple of times. They've done this without Trey Turner. They've done this without the real Nick Castellanos. Kyle Schwarber's a singles guy who hits off of lefties. What? I mean, there's still opportunity for them to have guys clicking in that lineup better than they have.
So 59 and 41 takes you to 102.
59 and 40. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think they could do it.
Yeah, they can do it. And maybe that's a goal that you might want to put out there for yourselves if you are the Philadelphia Phillies, because I told you before, and we're going to do it on Friday, I have a new way of looking at the season. Yeah, I'm going to scoreboard watch. I'm going to look at what the Braves do every day, and on every Friday, we're going to talk about what the Phillies picked up or what the Phillies may have lost in that play for first place. So we will do that for you also. The question that we have out there, I told you about the 3 numbers getting retired. We'd love to hear if you agree they should be, or maybe there's just a couple of people out of those 3, or maybe none. Whatever you decide on the Philadelphia Phillies at 610-632-0975. All right, we want to let you know that the 12 o'clock hour, it's brought to you by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months and a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at servicefirst.hvac.com. I've come to my decision.
Oh, nice.
Before 2 o'clock, I've come to my decision. That's good of me, right?
Yeah, you beat deadline.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
You were a guy that met deadline.
I'm doing it.
Oh, you're doing it.
I'm
nice.
Doing it. Yes,
awesome.
I'm doing
Glad
it.
that we did
retiring all 3. Matt, do we have the Keith Jones stuff? Do you have it ready? Okay. Keith Jones spoke earlier today. I wanted to get to this a little bit because I think it's pretty cool that we know where the Flyers are. We know what their vision is to where they want to go. And Keith Jones this morning had a press conference and talked a little bit about that.
I felt that we needed to do 3 things. We needed to change the discussion around, oh, here they go again. It's a losing environment.
All right, that's Dan Hilferty, actually. Do we have a Keith Jones? That was the vision of the Flyers. I'm sorry, Matt. This just came about to us, so excuse us for are we okay? Okay. Let's go to Keith Jones. Oh, and Matt Michkov. Okay, here we go.
No update on it. We would welcome him with open arms. We absolutely love what he is going to bring to the Flyers. If that timeline is sped up, that would be wonderful, but we don't know. So we'll watch along closely like you guys are as well. And when he arrives, our fan base is going to be pretty excited about getting a highly talented player that is different than what we have right now. And I think our fans are looking forward to that for sure. You said you...
Love it. One thing I will say, come on, Keith, stop lying to us. You have some word. You kind of know what's going on there. I appreciate that he's not going to share with us. And, when you're dealing with the KHL over in Russia, it's always something different. It's a very, very weird thing. I think Keith Jones obviously knows more. I'm not breaking news here. He knows more than he's going to tell us. I think it's going to play out favorably towards the Flyers. I think he's going to be over here sooner. When they first drafted him last year, we heard 3 years, something like that. Now with the contract being supposedly done with, or torn up, however you want to label it. There's a chance that Michkov could be coming over. Last I saw was 1 to 2 years, maybe as soon as this coming season. I think we're going to get some good words, Ray.
It seems to be trending that way,
right?
It just feels like
It's a feel, right?
It's a gut feel thing. Like, oh wow, it feels ahead of schedule. I don't know. It seems like they had a good relationship. I remember him working out, being like kind of under the cover of everything going on. Like they were able to hide that pretty well. It seems like they've got a solid relationship. They've built a solid rapport with them. That they did their homework on it. So
yeah,
I don't know. It feels like it's going to happen.
Have you watched any of the highlights of Matty Michkov?
Yes,
that's my nickname for him, Matty. I'm going to call him Matty. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is a different player. This is a guy that I think we're going to see that. Oh my God, he is an organization changer. This is a guy that not just the Flyers, the NHL is going to be talking about. This is the guy for the first time since fill in the blank that this city can really, really get excited about. Who was the last one? I mean, it was cool when Carter Hart, came up and you said, "Oh, here's the goalie of the future," something that this organization's been looking for. We all see how that all played out, but I don't think at the time it garnered as much excitement like, oh, this is the next player. No, it was just, okay, you have your goalie.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, you get Nolan Patrick with the second pick, but
I'll be honest, I heard, read about him, but I didn't know much about him. Do you have to go all the way back to Lindros?
I guess.
For this much excitement?
And
wow.
you're more to speak to that one than me.
Yeah.
So, like, the idea that the Flyers might have something that, one, excites you, and two, is like a true star is going to be something. The expectations for him are going to be through the roof. Like, at this point, when you talk about getting him over here and, the idea they need someone that's top line, like, everything worked out with Gauthier the way it did. Like, now you kind of have, all right, this is going to be your guy. This is right now of the rebuild. This is the shining light of positivity of like, well, that could be something.
Right. Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. So I just wanted to share that quickly with you, what Keith Jones had to say about Matty Michkov. Chance of him coming over here, looking forward to it. Keith said all the right things. I think the Flyers know a little bit more than they're letting on, and that's okay. That's fine. I know they don't want to disappoint the fans by saying something like, yeah, he could be here this year, and then it not happening. You don't want to get that, like, bad mark before a season starts. So, obviously, a big thing that we're going to keep an eye on. All right, just a reminder, Matt Breen is going to join us from the Philadelphia Inquirer at 1 o'clock. If Jalen Hurts does go to the podium for the Philadelphia Eagles, we're going to keep an eye on that. We'll bring that live to you if he does do that. What I want to ask you, it's about being in the moment or looking into the future. Where are you with this Phillies team this year? And I want to explain it out a little bit more. I think we can get some good answers on it. 610-632-0975. You have anything on your mind you want to talk to us about, you want to text us about? We're here for you. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Ray Dunn has officially lost it as he sits
Never
in
had
the
it.
co-host chair
Never had
today. Matt Menard producing. We appreciate you all being with us. Thank you so much. Thanks to the YouTubers for always bringing up good conversation among not only among each other, but I love reading it because it makes me think about a bunch of different things also. All right, Ray, Philadelphia Phillies supposed to play at 4 o'clock this afternoon against Milwaukee Brewers. Can you tell me what the Phillies starting lineup is as of today?
Yes, I can. The designated hitter is Kyle Schwarber. He leads off. Nick Castellanos in the 2-hole in right field. Bryce Harper at first base batting third. Bohm in the cleanup spot at third base. Bryson Stott at second base batting fifth. Edmundo Sosa getting the start at short batting sixth. Batting seventh and in left field, Whit Merrifield. At catcher, it's Garrett Stubbs batting eighth. And batting ninth, your center fielder, Christian Pache. Aaron Nola gets the start.
So Rojas and Marsh have the day off as well as Realmuto.
Correct. As we prepare for the flight across the Atlantic.
Man, I wonder what the cabin pressure is going to feel like for JT Realmuto going over to London.
I feel for the guy.
I know, right? Like, if anybody deserves to have a whole aisle to himself. Now, I know it's a chartered flight, but he deserves he deserves a bed. If there's some way you can get a bed in there for JT for that long flight, oh my God!
I think if they can find if anyone's going to find a way to do it, I think they would be the ones to find a way.
Where there's a will, there is a way. All right, we got a lot going on today as we've talked about a couple of topics that we'd like to hear from you about, and that was Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, and the other guy, Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, and Ryan Howard. Should all three of those guys get their number retired by the Philadelphia Phillies? Stop it. That wasn't a mistake. I was just talking.
You do not refer to Ryan Howard ever as the other guy.
I forgot which of the three. I forgot which two I had mentioned. That's all. It's not a mistake. I was having a conversation with you.
That's fine. Talk to you Friday.
A reminder that thank God Amy Fadul is back with us tomorrow. She'll be sitting in with us now. She's with the Best Show Ever today?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Amy's going to join Tyrone and Sil today on the Best Show Ever. But one of the topics we had, yes, do all three of them deserve to get their number retired all at once? Should do all three go in? And we've had the not argument back and forth, but talking about the conversation back and forth of whether they do. I rendered my decision at 12:31. I said, yeah, okay, I'm in. All three of them can go in. The reason I hesitated was because you get your number retired. That's huge to me. To me, that's huge. Now, you can look at the Yankees. You can look at the Boston Celtics. They seem to retire a lot of numbers. Maybe they've had a lot of great players, but you can question a lot of them, too. You had three guys, if you're talking about retiring these numbers, three guys on the same team in the prime of their playing days all together, and they got you one World Series. To me, yeah, it kind of reeks of, maybe there should have been more of a dynasty there. But then you look at the individual numbers. Ray, I said yes, they all three should.
I know.
You look at the individual numbers. Jimmy Rollins is the all-time hits leader for the team. Ryan Howard is second only to Mike Schmidt in home runs hit for this organization. And Chase Utley was probably, in the era that he played, the best second baseman in all of baseball. And then you throw up his numbers and all the things that he did. Okay, I don't think you can put 2 out of 3 in.
No.
I mean, if you were to look at it and say, yeah, okay, but Utley, Howard, and Rollins, they have the numbers. Utley, it's more reputation, is it not? I don't think you can say, hey, Jimmy and Ryan, congratulations. Sorry, Chase, you're going to have to sit this one out.
No, not in the slightest. You put all three of them in. They were the backbone of that era, of a winning era in the history of the losingest organization in North American sports. Those three get in together.
Okay.
They walk together forever.
Really? I guess you have to, right? But then, all right, there's this guy that excuse me. It's a little further away. Excuse me. I'm over here. Excuse me.
I don't think they can hear you.
And it gets a little closer. That was the point. And all of a sudden, they turn around and they go, oh, hey, Cole, what's up, man? I was the MVP of that World Series. I was with this organization longer than any of you guys. Does his career span longer in Philadelphia than any of those guys, maybe?
I don't think so, because he ends up out in 15. Utley was
but he came up in what?
what, 6 or 7? And
I thought it
Utley
was
had been
earlier.
up in, what, 2003? Howard
Okay.
was, what, 5 to 16?
Utley
he's
hit
got-
his first, the Grand Slam was his first hit. He hit that at the vet, so that had to be 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Um,
Rollins up, what, 2000? Before 2000?
okay, maybe, yeah. It's interesting, but, if you look at – all right, let's look at Cole Hamels' numbers then, if you can, on that computer
sure.
thing
I'll
that
pull
you
up
have.
Cole Hamels' numbers. For you.
Compared to everybody else on the Phillies, compared to where he sits with pitchers of the Phillies, do you say, well, since we're giving you guys the accolades that are deserved, do you also throw in a Cole Hamels? Because if we're talking about it, you have only won 2 World Series in the history of this organization. He was the MVP of one of them. What are his numbers compared to other pitchers in the organization, Ray?
Oh, my goodness. I'm getting there.
I'm sorry. I thought you were already there.
It's
My
not you.
bad.
It's the computer.
Okay, so what are you doing this week?
Doing nothing, Bob.
Oh, stop it. You're going to have fun down the shore. I know you. I have a son who's celebrating a birthday this weekend, my oldest, Bobby. So happy
Bobby.
birthday to Bobby. Yeah, he's going to – I'm not going to say how old he's going to be, but he's older than you, Ray. How about that?
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
So we would look at guys that have pitched for the Phillies.
There we go. Way to go, Ray. Good hustle, buddy.
Yeah. I'll just go by wins just because it'll give us the guys that have been here the longest. He's 6th in wins. His 3.30 ERA is lower than Robin Roberts, who has the number retired. Of course, Roberts, a Hall of Famer, and has
Right.
120 more wins in terms of that. But
Robin Roberts, last year in baseball, I believe he started 36 games and completed 33 of them.
yeah,
His
so
last year in
a
baseball.
little bit of a different sport in that
Yeah,
case.
sure it was.
Innings pitched for the longevity. He's 6th in innings pitched all time by a Philly. You go to strikeouts. Hamels is 3rd all time with Aaron Nola, just about a good season behind him in terms of strikeouts. And Nola will end up eclipsing him at some point. Nola's going to probably end up 2nd all time in strikeouts in Phillies history, just preparing everyone for that one.
Boy, me and you see this differently. You see a lot of the fandom that doesn't like Nola. I guess I've never surrounded myself with that, but go ahead. So Hamels, what do you think? Is he talked about as a number retired? He was on that team. He was the best pitcher on that team.
Oh, yeah. I'd talk about it.
Well, all right, let's talk about it. Would you?
I'd be about it. That's
All right,
where that's the cutoff point of that era.
Of that, okay.
That's the cutoff point.
Of that
Hamels,
08?
Anyone beyond that, Chooch, love you, appreciate you. No. Burrell, love you, appreciate you.
They're all
No.
Wall of Fame bound?
Yeah. I think Pat Burrell is already Wall
Yeah,
of
I
Fame.
thought he was too. Yeah.
Ruiz.
Chooch might be there. I'm not positive about that.
They got to start moving with this 08 squad because they're going to end up having guys from this run that'll end up being on that. I don't know where you go for the Wall of Fame.
Yeah, anywhere. All right, when we get back, Matt Breen from the Inquirer is going to join us. He had a great story this week about a Phillies bat boy, which sounds, if you just hear that, oh, that's cute. No, it's deeper than cute. It was a really great story. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, make sure you do so. We'll have that a whole lot more here. Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. o'clock hour. So glad that you're here with us. On the midday shows, we take you into the best show ever with Tyrone. This doesn't feel right saying Amy Fadul is joining the best show ever today also. Now, I'm all willing to share and all that stuff, but just a little bit. Like that's it. All right, fine, Amy, have your fun there, but let's go. You're back with us tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
It does kind of feel like, all right, Amy.
It feels wrong. Yeah. I don't know how she can look herself in the mirror.
Play in the 97.5 The Fanatic Field. Got it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Understood.
whatever. I mean, I didn't see Tyrone out there having a putting contest with you after a show the other day. No, it was me and Ray. But, I understand. Tyrone's a great dude. I'd love to do a show with him at some point, too. But just not right in front of my face.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. It is what it is. All right, Matt Breen is joining us on the Comcast Business Hotline from Philadelphia Inquirer, PhiladelphiaInquirer.com. How are you today, Matt?
I'm good, Bob, and this is the best ever because you have Ray Dunn on your show.
Speaking of...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
There's
That
more
was-
Ray Dunn love. That's all I need. What, Ray? What?
I realized what Matt said. I'm not going to come after him now. I was going to say, Matt was also testing the 97.5 The Fanatic waters this weekend. I heard him with Kevin Cooney.
So did I. I heard Kevin promote it, and I was like, okay, that's where Matt wants to go. So, yeah, we talked to you with a little bit of jealousy in our hearts this afternoon. But, Matt, you did a great job. What a wonderful story that you had on Adam Kiley, the Phillies bat boy, who I got to meet a couple of weeks ago. He was in our offices in here, and I got to sat down and talk to him for a little bit. What a great dude. Ray went to college with him. So just for the people who haven't read your story yet, just give us a little background on what Adam's story is.
For sure. Definitely a good guy. Went to Temple, like you said, grew up in South Jersey, grew up a crazy diehard Phillies fan. And when he was at Temple, he was working with Phillies and charity selling raffle tickets in the ballpark, and then got a chance to move into the clubhouse and be the bat boy. And he took the job as a bat boy. And when he was a kid, when he was in high school, a freshman in high school, he was diagnosed with cancer. Missed like the second half of his end of his freshman year. Spent the summer in and out of CHOP getting chemotherapy. And he actually, the one night he would watch the Phillies every night when he was in the hospital, because it was just like that. Obviously, he loved the Phillies, but he also wanted it was a great way to kill time and something to look forward to every night. With the Phillies were coming on, and it was fireworks night, and his mom's with him, and they could see from their window in CHOP. They could see the fireworks exploding over the ballpark if you looked all the way out in the South Philly from West Philly. And he would hobble to the window. His mom would take his IV with him, and he would be on crutches, and they'd watch the fireworks and he'd go back to bed. And now you flash forward 10 years later, he's in the dugout with the Phillies every night, and he has this mentality. He was always positive, but then once you go through that, he said that you come out of it even more positive and not wanting to waste any moments of your life. And he has this super positive mindset, and it rubs off on the players. And Kyle Schwarber says that there's times that he'll be grinding in his head and, stressing out. And then Adam's sitting next to him in the dugout. He says something, and it just, breaks the mood, and then he goes and is ready to hit. And there was a moment last year where the Phillies were chasing down another playoff spot in September, and they said this player spoke up and said, we want Adam on the road with us. We want him to travel with us. We need our bat boy. So he's more than just, this guy that cleans the cleats and washes the uniforms and gets their bats for them. He's almost a part of the team, and I think it speaks obviously to Adam and that mentality he has, but then also we see these guys on TV every night, and they look like that kind of guy. Everybody loves this team, and they look like a lot of fun, cool guys that you could hang out with, and then to hear it, that they are a team that allows the bat boy to feel that he is, part of something bigger than what he's doing, I think speaks to what kind of team this is.
Now, we're talking to Matt Breen on the Comcast Business Hotline from the Philadelphia Inquirer, Inquirer.com. And, Matt, when you're talking about Adam, and when I see him on TV and having met him here, it's almost like a player, like you watch for a little bit and you go, oh, okay, they belong. They're it. That fits. That's kind of what he looks like with, now, not only have the players accepted him, but the way he goes about his business. That's also made him acceptable to the team, right?
No doubt. He's definitely not just like a nice guy. He also is very serious about his job. He played baseball as a kid, so he knew an understanding of the game. He had a friend. A friend's older brother was the bat boy when he was younger, so he would go to games and kind of watch, to know what the bat boy actually does. So he came in prepared,
And what he does, if you go to Phillies games, you've seen him. He sprints everywhere he goes. He just runs as hard as he can. And I'm thinking, is that a gimmick or something? Like get attention. I'm like, well, why do you do that? And he says, I just want to show like that how enthusiastic, how much pride I take in my job. So it's like if I need to run to show people like this is how serious I am about this job. And then Phil Sheridan, who has been with the Phillies since '93, is their manager of the clubhouse services back there. And he was telling me just like how much the job has changed in 30 years. And the bat boy job, there's so much to it because the players wear so much equipment now, protective equipment when they go to bat, when they run the bases. They have different uniforms almost every day of the week. So there's just so much on the bat boys' responsibilities to get Trey Turner his sliding gloves or to get Bryce Harper's shin guard off of him. Like there's just always, like you have to have your head in the game where it's not just picking up the bat, giving the umpire a new ball. There's just constantly, there's stuff to do. And Adam is right there. Like Schwarber said, he says, I'll get to first base and I won't even realize it. And I look back and it's like, there he is. He says, he's waiting for me. Like, I need your gloves. And they said they respect that. And when they go on the road, normally the Phillies have to use the other team's bat boy as their bat boy when they're traveling. And Schwarber said, he's like, I don't mean to discredit anybody, but some of these bat boys out there are kind of lost when their job. And when they get home, it's not like that.
Now you talk about taking your job serious. One of the things we've talked about with this team for the start of the season, how serious they've taken it after the way last season ended. Again, they win another series. They have a chance to go for a sweep today against another first-place team. As you continue to try and contextualize what you're watching, we had some fun earlier with picking out numbers for numbers of wins. When you look at this group, just how special of a summer are we subjected to right now? And from your eyes, someone that's been around this organization for a long time, covering it for a long time, when you try and describe what you're watching to people, how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, and these wins count, right? Because Milwaukee's in first place.
Yes, they are above 500, so they count.
These wins actually count. All right, that's good to know. And like you said about how last year ended, and that was like the spring training mantra, and everybody said it. But like we've all heard, and like sports athletes say these kind of things, and like in training camp or spring training or preseason, and it's just I don't put much stock into it because it's just like a talking point, and it's what they say. Yeah, we don't want last season to. You get the season to go the way it is. We want to get off to a fast start. You got to win the division and stuff like that. But this team has actually taken that seriously, and they put the foot down. And to see the way they started off, to have 7-game lead today, it's kind of insane. I didn't expect that. And it's funny, like all these like sordid stories I'm doing. Like I'm working on another one. I was talking to somebody this week about it, and everybody goes back to like how fun this summer is and comparing it to like 1993. And I get that, but like 93 was kind of like a flash. It came out of nowhere. This did not come out of nowhere. Like this team is not sneaking up on anybody. This team's really, really good. They're supposed to be where they are, and they're finally playing that way in the first half of the season, where the last 2 years, like they got to where they were supposed to be, which is the playoff. But they didn't start that way. Like this team it's not a Cinderella story. Like they're built to be like this. They're built to give you a magical summer. And I think they're just finally playing like that. It's a roster of stars. It's a starting rotation that is deeper than we thought it was, but still, you knew it. They at least had 2 stars in that rotation. And they're a really good baseball team. And to discredit this team with who they played or who they haven't played, that was ridiculous, I thought. And now, it's going to be a fun summer. And I think the last 2 seasons, were fun at the end, but you had to stress out the whole summer. But I think this way, they're going to carry you all the way through.
Matt, we had a talk the other day about where this may go. Where are they exactly as an organization? And you put it out there. You 1 year you surprise people and you get to a World Series. So then the next year there's expectations and there's a letdown. And now this year, you're the best team in baseball so far. Is this climb, is this an apex climb that you think is going to last for a little bit? Like, is this organization built for this type of situation? I'm not saying best record in baseball, but playoff team, competitor for a World Series. Is this something that's sustainable for a few more years, maybe?
I believe so, and I obviously there's always a window, and sometimes the windows are closed a lot faster than you expect. Like the Houston Astros are already possibly going to be sellers at the deadline, and that's insane. Like, it felt like yesterday they were beating the Phillies in the World Series. Like, things change quickly, but the way that Dave Dombrowski has structured this team since he came over, and everybody thought, like, they hired Dombrowski, he's going to trade all the prospects, that's what he does. And I think he's made it an organizational philosophy to build up the minor leagues and to try to, you got to build up the ground before you get up top. And that's what they've done. Like, the minor league system at the top is not there yet, but there's guys, they're filling in the bottoms, and they're drafting, and they're holding on to guys, and they're doing a really good job of self-scouting, and which is such an important thing to do. Like, when you go to trade people, it's the way that, like, give Ruben Amaro a lot of credit for the way they did this. They knew who they could trade when they made that Cliff Lee trade. They knew who they could give up on, and prospects, and that's an important thing to do. And I think Dombrowski's done a good job of that. You look at the prospects he traded away, and not a lot of them are either guys were blocked or they're not going to come back and hurt you. So that's important, and I think to make this thing sustainable, it's not just to be going out and signing Bryce Harper of the world. Like, you have to produce your own talent, and you have to fill in it. And you've seen that, some of these guys that, like, Brandon, I know you acquired Brandon Marsh, but he's not a big-time free agent signing. Like, it's guys like that have to fill in around your stars that you're paying money for, and then you hope that the guys that you draft are starting to come up, and they can be the stars of 3 years from now.
Now, you talked about not going out and having to sign big stars. One of the big signs he has made has been Nick Castellanos. And we're in this part of the cycle where we're having the conversation. It looks like he's finding it. As the walk-off last night. In your eyes, where are we at? Is he going to find it? Are we finally going to get the Nick Castellanos maybe the beginning of last season, or for that early part of last season over these next couple weeks?
Yeah, I think obviously he had a big hit last night. He had a couple homers the other day. I think there's at least enough signs that he's turning the corner. And like I said before, like he had driven 102 runs last year. The guy is not that far away from being a really big contributor to this lineup. And the good thing about when you're playing like the best team in baseball and you have a 7-game lead is that you can live with a guy going through a pretty bad slump. So things have been so good that this Nick Castellanos has struggled so much, yet you haven't really had to. You've talked about it, but you haven't had to really concern about it as much as you would if this team was struggling. Then it would be a much bigger story. So I do think he's more closer than the guy he was last year than the guy he was for the first, X amount of months of this season. And I think there's at least enough signs you can talk yourself into that he is turning a corner.
We're talking to Matt Breen from Inquirer.com and on the Comcast Business Hotline. And, Matt, I'll leave you with this. We threw something out there this morning because I was reading Twitter and someone asked Tom McCarthy about who would be the next Philly to get their number retired. Tom came back with, well, how about the big three? They might not be far behind. Would you retire all of the numbers of Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, and Jimmy Rollins?
I would, and I think I know 4 is a lot, but I think Cole Hamels deserves a number retired too. I don't think you can do, if you're going to do all 3 of them, I don't think you can leave out Cole Hamels, and that's what I would do. Obviously, to me, like personally, if you had to just do one of them, which isn't going to happen, Utley is the guy for me that you retire. But I think you will see all 3 of them get retired, and I think if you retire 3, you're going to retire 4 with 35 too.
All right, of those guys, any of them Hall of Fame bound at any point in our lifetime?
Chase Utley. Chase Utley will make the Hall of Fame. Advanced stats are going to be on his side. The other 3 will not make the Hall of Fame. And it's like you would have never thought that in 2008. I remember in 2008, like thinking like they got so many Hall of Famers. Like these guys are, it's the best Phillies team ever. And then you look at 80, and 80 has, 2 bona fide three, if you count Pete Rose, 3 bona fide Hall of Famers. But this team will get Chase Utley in the Hall of Fame eventually. It'll take some time, but you can already tell with his first year on the ballot that he had a little bit of momentum behind him, and that'll just continue to grow.
Matt, you are the best. We tell everybody to keep reading you on the Inquirer.com. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one.
All right, buddy. That Matt Breen from the Inquirer.com. Pretty interesting. I'll tell you, I thought I got to really look into things now. I thought of those guys. I thought Utley was close. Howard a little further away. I thought Rollins definitely. The younger people that are ruled by the current stats, all that stuff, and all the new things done with analytics, they lean more Utley now.
Yeah.
And because of the way the voting went recently.
Yeah, I mean, I think the voting showed you he's got strong momentum to go do it, and I do think that advanced stats are kinder to Utley. I think that'll end up being a part of what lifts him, because I think this is the number that a lot of people have used in looking at his Hall of Fame case. Is I think it's a stretch from I want to say 2005. I think our YouTube also had it earlier, but it was 2005 to 2015 or 2005. It was a decade stretch where it's a war amongst all players. It's like Pujols, then Utley.
Is that right?
And it's all right, and for a lot for people, for a certain amount of the crowd voting for the Hall of Fame, that they look at that and they value that a ton. In terms of just comparing you to someone else.
Right.
The best case I think I'd give to him is that after Jeff Kent, when that era of second baseman goes in that late 2000s, early 2010s, is there another second baseman that you would take, especially in the National League? He's a defining player of his position in a league for a multitude of years, and that would be a qualification for the Hall of Fame that would push him towards that, on top of whatever stats you want to throw out there.
So as MBD asks us also, is it because there were so many good shortstops during that era and you're comparing, and Utley didn't really have the same kind of competition that Rollins did?
It could be that. Yeah. I mean, I think that could be what it comes down to, too, for Rollins. I mean, I think Rollins is a solid case as well, but they're going to be judged. I do think it's interesting. I think Rollins, and Dylan, it was Dylan that came in at one point, was talking about defensively, which one works. Analytics-wise, Utley gets a lot of love defensively. The range that Rollins had and, some of the more intangible, and you could put numbers to it, but I think what you watch as a defender of Rollins, you'd be you can't discount what he gave you there at short. But
not a little bit.
You had some other great shortstops at the time that'll be compared to. Again, both of them I think have solid cases. The one that, Howard's already off the ballot, so that's, kind of been decided. He won't be a Hall of Famer, and Hamels, I don't think will, get to that level. But those two I think have solid cases. Utley has the momentum that makes you think he will get inducted.
Interesting. So from that era that you talked about, they're going to retire numbers of 5 different players that played on those teams, if we count Roy Halladay, too.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It is.
It's wild because 5 to me says, man, how many championships were there among that? And it's one. But I hear what you're saying. A lot of wins that were there. Hey, the 1 o'clock hour, it's brought to you by Ferguson HVAC Lyon Conklin. Attention HVAC contractors. For equipment, parts, and supplies for every heating and cooling job, visit one of Ferguson's counter locations in Bensalem, King of Prussia, Pennsauken, or Westchester. All right, I got a couple more questions that we're going to go with to end the show when we get back later on. One of them has to do with, let's see, I don't want to be mean here, and I'm really not trying to. The uptightness, I'll call it, that some people on this station had yesterday morning about the fans' reaction to Rhys Hoskins and his home run. I watched it over and over again. There's about, a couple hundred people in the picture when the ball lands in the outfield. I saw one person clapping. I don't think there was an overreaction, whatever. But anyway, some people were hot and bothered that there was some clapping for Rhys Hoskins when he hit a home run that accounted for the only run against the Phillies in that 3-1 Brewers loss the other night. So I have a question going back to last night. If we handled ourselves okay, if we're okay, that we didn't do anything wrong there. Also, where do you sit with this Phillies team as far as allowing yourself to enjoy the moment? Because I want to look ahead just a little bit to say, should we anticipate worse times coming? Because I don't know if they're going to play .690 baseball for the rest of the season. Or is there maybe even better things coming? Because there's some things that certainly can get better. We'll go through all that and a whole lot more. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back. 1:30 here on the Midday Shows. We take you up to the best show ever, which today will feature Tyrone, Amy Fadul, and, of course, Silvana Kelleher will be producing. But, Ray, Phillies lineup has come out today. I know we said it once, but I'd like to reiterate for those who are either rejoining, didn't hear, or maybe just want to hear the soft tones of your voice once again.
That's not a lot, I would imagine, that final option there. But leading off, the designated hitter Kyle Schwarber. Batting second, right fielder Nick Castellanos. Batting third, first baseman Bryce Harper. In the cleanup spot, it's the third baseman Alec Boehm. At second base, Bryson Stott, he bats fifth. Batting sixth, Edmundo Sosa at shortstop. Batting seventh, left fielder Whit Merrifield. Garrett Stubbs doing the catching, batting eighth. And batting ninth, it's the center fielder Christian Pache.
So not a lot of heavy hitting from like 6 on down or 7 down, 7, 8, 9, a little weak going on there. Yeah. Castellanos getting bumped up to the number 2. I think Rob Thompson loves to play the little mind games in positive ways, not mind games of, guys are like, what the hell's going on? Hey, great hit by you last night. You were slumping. You're coming on a little bit. You're so good, I'm throwing you up in the 2-hole. So maybe you see something from Castellanos there. Of course, he loves to go with the right-handed hitter in between Schwarber and Harper. I like it. I like when, he does little things like that, kind of rewarding a guy for some hot hitting. What are you laughing about?
Is it more rewarding Nick Castellanos or looking
else?
down the line like, well, we tried Edmundo there
Pache?
once. He went 0 for 5. Whit Merrifield's not going to bat second, and Pache's not batting second. And if we put Sosa up there, that's 3 lefties against the lefty. Top viewer, so.
All right.
Hey, good for Castellanos. Good for him.
Yeah, we also have, you came in and said, we got some breaking news, according to somebody. So I'll let you break that also, Ray.
Okay.
You're going to read the text that was sent out by one.
A tweet from Matt Gelb. Ranger Suarez, barring anything on it. Well, I just don't want people thinking that I'm like a direct text line here.
Hey, Ray, you can break this on middays, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Yeah, this is not my news to break. Matt Gelb said that Ranger Suarez, barring anything unexpected, will start Saturday in London. He played catch today with no issues.
Okay, good. It's not the catching part that I'm worried about. I want to say, how did he do in the throwing part of playing catch?
I imagine there were no issues.
Yeah, so played catch is a little weird. Usually it's a bullpen session. Maybe that's not until tomorrow, 2 days before his start. I don't know what his schedule is, but from going to playing catch to he'll be starting is a little surprising to me.
Well, he's been, I know, like, throw-in again is more just having a catch over the last couple of days, I think. He at least did
I didn't know. I hadn't heard anything on it.
Yeah, so I think that today everything went, and barring anything unexpected, probably means they're going to get a bullpen in here in the next 2 days. The schedule's so wonky at this point, and he's going to be, never fortunate when something like that happens, but I guess having a full week to get back out there and see if he could do it, probably better than just the 5 days, because what happened on Saturday, because it nearly ruined my Saturday. And then now he's not going to pitch again until the next Saturday. So, I mean, you have a couple more days in there for a little bit of healing, a little bit of throwing.
And the other good thing is if something does unexpectedly happen, like they fly over and his hand blows up like a balloon or something like that, Turnbull's ready to go. Unless you have to use him today, which I, don't fully anticipate. Aaron Nola will get you innings today. You're going to have 2 more days off before you play again. Like, the luxury is there of, if he's good, he's good. If he isn't, if there's any hesitation, we can alter whatever we're going to do.
Long layoff for Wheeler. Wheeler's not starting until next Tuesday.
That's okay. I know.
He doesn't like it. That's more the concern.
But let's not forget, it was just 2 short seasons ago where he had a little bit of a forearm strain that they carried over into a couple extra weeks of rest.
Yeah.
And he performed fine from there on out. I don't mind a little, like this little bit of rest. Okay. Yeah, it's all right. It might bother you.
I'm not going to lose my mind over it. I just know that what he prefers. Also, for what the fan base might not prefer, Taijuan Walker will be the starter on Sunday.
Larry Boa talked me into patience the other day. When we talked to Larry, and he said, look, it's the 5th starter. He keeps you in games. Who's the Yankees' 5th starter? You can't even name him. It's all right. It's a long season. Relax. I'm okay. I'm good.
I'm not sitting here starting to bang the drum for Turnbull. I do think at some point, like if this continues this way, you get to the Turnbull conversation. Sure. I'm with the patience thing. I just know that for some people that news takes them a little bit, not by surprise, but they're frustrated with it. I'm cool with waiting, especially until the end of June at this point. Like Turnbull, there's only so many innings. Like you think it's a known commodity because of what you've seen, but you really don't know how he's going to handle the uptick in innings. And I mean, I feel like we've done this conversation before, the two of us, but just to recap on where I'm at with it, it's not that I would take him out of the rotation right now. I also think Sunday, like if you're expecting that he's going to find himself at London Stadium, I would caution you. Please beware that when the Yankees and Red Sox played there in 2019, they 50 runs in 2 games.
Wow, look at you with the knowledge.
Well, I was watching.
You're just bringing that up now at 1:34 on a Wednesday?
I brought up earlier this week. You weren't listening to me.
On our show?
On our show.
Oh, that's very possible.
Yeah. I brought up the other day because I was saying that I watched that game. I watched that game with the North Jersey side of the family up at a Northern Shore Point in Jersey. I was visiting them for the weekend. I was doing some work up there. Whatever.
Wait, last weekend?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, 2019. 2019 when the Yankees and Red Sox played.
Years. Okay.
Yeah. Remember this? So the Yankees and Red Sox played 2 games out there in London. 50 runs were scored, but I watched it with the Yankee side of the family.
Okay.
An older member of the family looks at the TV, turns and looks at me and says, "This isn't the sport I've watched my entire life."
Wow.
Something like, I don't know if he called it an abomination of baseball, but something close to that. Just because all the runs were being scored. I mean, they got some short corners.
Well, I was going to say, we have to look up the dimensions of one London Stadium.
Yeah.
So let's call that up now, because maybe there's this betting thing that we like to do.
I would take overs out there.
Yeah. So we could
unless
do.
They've changed it since that point.
They made it less baseball friendly, less run scoring friendly.
Yeah, well, more pitcher friendly. Maybe a couple pitchers lost out in an arbitration case because they had to deal with the way that it's built.
ERAs. Yeah, they
a couple runs too big. I'd love for them to just give you dimensions. Who does meters? All right. We're bringing it in.
No, are you serious? Come on, Ray. You can't translate meters in your mind to feet and yards. What is the matter with you?
I went to the American education system in the 21st century.
Just play along with me, Matt, okay?
Yeah, Ray, come on. It's not that hard.
Oh, jeez.
I like to JT Realmuto him.
All right, so I don't know. It's a small ballpark. It's a small ballpark.
All right. All right.
I'll find it. Keep going, Bob.
All right.
You figure it out.
Well, I got a question for you. So the Phillies are 43-19 now, and it's unbelievable. Is it okay to look ahead and say, you know what? They're going to be even better? Because I don't know that anyone out there is doing anything that's really unsustainable. I don't think that Ranger Suarez is going to go 18-2, but I think he's going to be a really good pitcher for the rest of the year. There's not many performances so far this season by individuals that I can say, yeah, that's not going to carry for the rest of the year, because we've seen the likes of Alec Boehm go from like 340 average. He's down below 300 now. Team is still winning. Guys that were red hot and maybe have cooled off a little bit, team is still winning. You lost Trey Turner, who was being talked about among MVP candidates, went down with an injury. Team is still winning. I don't know that we can say, all right, 43-19, they're playing 69% winning percentage. Things have to get worse. Do you look at it like that? Things have to get worse. Something's going to happen in order that they, come back down to earth. They can't be on pace for 114 wins or whatever it is. Or, like in the case of me, do you look at it and say, whoa, wait a minute. Let's not forget, Trey Turner's going to be coming back. Nick Castellanos is starting to hit. As I just mentioned, there's not many things going on with this team that doesn't seem sustainable unless you go to the bullpen and say, all that. But do you look at it, Ray, if there's going to be change with this Phillies team in performances, do you think it has to be for the worse? And, does it have to be?
Worse is a
I know, that's a
hard
term. It is.
Ebbs and flows of baseball is more the way I would go with this. They go out west and...
Is it more valley-ish?
We're talking, you might get a little valley in there, where the bats, people that don't believe in this team were taking their, small victory laps in that 2-4 road trip. See, these are the problems that could end your season. It's that's the sport of baseball being played.
Right.
Ultimately, there's going to be, maybe a 10-game stretch in there where they don't hit. It's just a couple guys valley at the same time. Maybe they don't drive in the runs that you've seen. The crazy part of Boehm over this last month is his average went from 350 to 300, and he still was driving in runs. When he was getting hits, they were still timely hits, which was incredible for what he was batting at that time. So, some of that things will happen where, you're not getting the timely hits, where you're not driving guys in. Over a 10-game stretch, does that 10-game stretch take you from instead they play,
10-game what?
Stretch.
Oh, okay. They said stretch.
Stretch. What I said, Bob. Thank you. I appreciate it.
139.
No, I'm not pulling that. You
Go
can
ahead.
dream. You can go through one of those stretches where over 10 games, like they don't get things go their way, and maybe that drops you from the playing at 67% to playing at 63% for the end of the season. Like you might get a couple of those just kind of drop-offs throughout the longer portion of the rest. Like there's still 100 games to go.
Drop-off, that's the word. Drop-off.
Right. Do I see that happening over 10
Do you
games?
see more drop-offs coming than you see more ascension coming? Because I think you're going to get an ascension when Trey Turner comes back to the lineup. I think Nick Castellanos is going to be an ascension going forward. If we want to be super positive, let's not forget whose month this is, whose month it hasn't been yet.
No, again, I'm not necessarily looking at the players and saying that specific player is going to go for it. Like right now, 112 is what they're on pace for. Like that's the difficulty of playing up to 112 is having to do this again over another 100 games. They have the players to do it. I think there's a potential they get up into that really gaudy 100-something win season. But knowing that at some point you'll probably hit a bit of a valley just because that's the way it's a long grinding season.
Yeah, it is.
That's why ultimately, like they play 60% the rest of the way. Is that really a drop off? Numbers wise, it is, but that's still 20 games over 500 the rest of the way.
Yeah.
So that's still pretty great.
Yeah, that takes you to 103 if they go 60-40.
Right.
So you're absolutely right. Our friend Uncle Frank is on the line. Uncle Frank, how are you today, buddy?
Great, my man. How are you? Happy Wednesday to all.
Happy Wednesday to you. What's going on?
Great to see you guys the other day. It's a beautiful course, isn't it?
Yeah, that was really nice of you to stop out. We really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. Bobby, you always bring the alacrity, my man. I love the passion. Amy is she's awesome. Really knowledgeable. Impressed Ray. And I'm impressed with
He's a
Ray.
work in progress. We know, Frank.
I'm trying my
we're
best
all
here.
over
It was
that,
nice
yeah.
to meet you the other day, Uncle Frank.
Ray, fortunately, there's still time for you. You still have hope, young man.
All right.
That's the hope.
I'm going to get to my Phillies.
Attaboy, here we go.
Who's doing the board? He sounds like Stan Van Gundy on the radio. I swear.
I need to change
I don't
my
know.
voice.
All right.
Frank, you're off track after 50 seconds. Come on, buddy.
So we'll get to the retired Phillies. So the retired guy, I'm assuming Schmidt, Carlton, right, et cetera, et cetera. So it's either none of them or you got to go all three. I've been vacillating. Where are you at with this?
I gave my decision at 12:30 that I go with the three of them, but now we've thrown in Cole Hamels, and many have said he needs to go in also. I find it, four guys going in on a team that won one championship. I can see the arguments to be made.
I'm just thinking of Howard. What a big, what if? If he came up when he was 22 and not 26, I understand about Tomey, but he didn't tear his Achilles. He would have over 500 home runs, I would think.
That's close. We were talking about that the other day. And thanks, Frank. We're up against a break here. All right. We always rate Uncle Frank's call. That he can be better.
Overzealous after seeing us the other day.
Yeah. So
it kind of felt he was a little too complimentary of us, honestly.
It took 1 minute and 1 second for him to try to get into his point. So we're going to have to give Frank out of 1 out of 10. Sorry, Frank, but you get like a 5, maybe a 4.5.
I was going to say, I think you're trying to grade him on a curve here. Uncle Frank has to be, dealt with
to be better
at the standards. If he was,
okay,
call
so
of the
you're
year for 2023.
you're at a 2.
No, I'd say probably 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, listen,
All right.
I appreciate him.
He knew it. He knew he had to get on track, but he just couldn't get himself there.
We never really got to the way he felt about it.
No, we didn't because, he took a little bit longer than we
so,
could.
Uncle Frank, text in how you feel about retiring those guys.
Yeah, so I want to take a little bit of a closer look at it. Do you think the Phillies have more potential coming up in a good way than they do maybe a drop-off? Or where do you stand on it? Also, how did we do? How did we do with the Rhys Hoskins thing? He got a hit last night. I didn't see a standing ovation. I didn't see, people jumping out of there on a single. I don't think you did.
No, I didn't.
But we'll talk about that real quick when we get back. This is Middays Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back as we hit the last segment on our midday show today. So glad that you joined us. Want to thank Ray Dunn for sitting in the co-host seat, but can't wait to get him back out of this studio tomorrow into his producer's chair, only because, just because, I guess. Amy Fadul will be with us tomorrow. Matt Menard, hell of a job by you today. Don't talk over me while I'm telling Matt what a great job he did.
I just want to make sure you don't miss me.
I don't, whatever.
You could say it. Matt, I think you did a great job, too.
Oh, yes. I didn't hear Bob because somebody else was talking.
Yeah, I know, right?
Hey, man.
I appreciate it.
5 minutes. You
Thank
take
you,
care
Bob.
of it.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome. You're very much welcome. I was just looking at Twitter on the break. The Eagles had a guest today at their mini Mandy's.
Kevin Hart?
No.
Bradley Cooper.
There's going to be people that are going to be upset by this. No, it wasn't Bradley Cooper. You know who
Michael
it is.
Parsons?
Don't act like you don't know. Michael Parsons. I think they'd love
Just
that.
about to say that.
No, so there's a picture on Twitter of Big Dom walking in.
Don't tell me.
Well, stop it. Jalen Brunson walking into the Eagles practice today with a cast on his hand or whatever. So he's there to check out the Eagles practice. I can just hear it in my head. Oh, what are they letting him come there for? No, he plays for the Knicks. He shouldn't be allowed to be there, and so on and so forth and all that. I don't really care. Do you?
It's a great point.
Does it bother you?
Shouldn't be allowed.
Shouldn't be allowed.
No, I don't care.
Yeah, okay. There will be some people, though, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you want me to try and fake outrage, I can try it. Jalen Brunson being there, he's an Eagles fan. Like, if he was celebrating the Eagles winning, I think we'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool. Good, like, yeah, that's right. Celebrate them winning.
We don't need you. Take your broken hand and get out of here.
Yeah, I don't know.
You beat the 76ers. You hate Philadelphia.
Like, it's a shame, like, because, like, New York doesn't really have a football team right now. Like, they both stink.
Ray, look at you. But I'm pumped.
I mean, it's true. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Aaron Rodgers at 41 is going to save my city in football. Or Daniel Jones. Like,
hey, we're looking for LeBron James to save the Sixers at 41. Why not Aaron Rodgers for the Jets?
One produced this past season and one, never mind.
I know. I'm just.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, everyone, like, there's going to be fun when Jalen Brunson, rocks an Eagles jersey when the Giants are like 3-14 and, the Eagles are playing a meaningful game. So I think it's nice. At least we'll have that over them.
Yeah, we don't know who he's friends with or whatever. I mean, Nick
He's
Sirianni.
an Eagles fan.
Yeah, he's probably an Eagles fan. Yeah, that's cool. Makes a phone call. Hey, you guys mind if I come watch practice? Cool.
Right. I
don't
mean,
have any problem with it.
Right after they eliminate you in the first round, I understand. But, ultimately, it already happened. They went nowhere, too. So, like.
That is correct.
They still didn't get back to the conference finals.
Exactly. So. Okay, Reese Hoskins last night, game number 2, back home, gets a good ovation when he comes to bat once again. Gets a hit later in the game. No reaction. A lot of stuff was brought up the other day about when he hit the home run. There was a few people that applauded and all that stuff. A+ Phillies fans, A+ for the way you handled absolutely everything. The standing ovation when he came to the plate, the smattering of claps when he hit the home run, and then people booing the people that clapped who hit the home run. All fun, all games, all good. I have to give you a wonderful applause for the way you treated Reese Hoskins coming here with Milwaukee. You agree, Ray?
I thought we did a solid job policing ourselves, honestly. I thought the cheers and boos was a nice mix, People that cheered the moment, the rest of the people are like, oh, focus, time to win. That's for me. Like, I didn't sit there like, wow, this is an overwhelming cheer. It was like, the cheer started, the boos came in, and I was like, yep, that's us.
Yeah, and you were at the game. It was like no big deal.
Oh, yeah, obviously. Yeah. I mean, I made my trip down there. They're now 12-4 when I've been there.
I mean, it was no big deal when he hit the home run. The reaction was no big deal.
I didn't lose my mind over it, no.
Yeah, no. Okay. And like I said, I watched the replay. And
last night was setting up, though, for the scriptwriters. Like, if the scriptwriters were a little bit better at their job, like, something would have happened last night. Him striking out, like, the scriptwriter, if they really wanted to create some controversy, him doing something in the ninth would have been an all-time, like, oh, where are people really standing on this one?
Right, no, he's an opponent now.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it was a moment. The guy hit a home run in his first game back after getting a standing ovation and being brought to tears earlier in the game, and the guy hit a home run. It was a moment. And it was a moment that some celebrated quickly and then said, okay, let's move on. That's it. It's a game. Like, it was a moment where the Phillies were up 3-0. He made it 3-1. I think fans were still confident the team was going to win. It wasn't an overreaction moment. It was a moment. And I saw somebody say the guy should have thrown the ball back that caught the ball or whatever. Nah, I would have tried to get it signed by Reese Hoskins.
No, and Tyrone was right about this yesterday. Like, the throwing the ball back's not our thing.
Right.
We got to get rid of
Chicago
that
thing.
Yeah. It's stop, please. I think it's a weird tradition. I'm not, and it's not even a tradition with us. It's just something we've picked up.
It's a copycat thing that we've done.
Let's go do something cool. Like they mentioned yesterday, the Orioles thing with the water, like spraying when they hit a home run. That's great. Give me something like that.
All right, so we can't leave here without congratulating your sister.
Yes, congratulations on graduating high school. Hopefully tonight, weather
pending. We will see what happens there. Stay tuned for Tyrone. They also have Amy Fadul. They'll be coming up next. We will join you again tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. Amy will be joining us. Thanks for joining us, everybody.